Chapter 1397. Deterrence. Knight Sorrow needed a deterrence. Without the deterrence and restraint of the Heaven Masters, the other party's Heaven Masters would have no scruples. With the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation, Lord Shenhu and the others would not easily make a move. Of course, it would be useless even if they did. With the support of Qing Emperor and the others, Knight Sorrow felt that there was no problem. Now the army is reorganized and assembled. If there is no problem, we can go to war, Knight Sorrow said. Go out and fight. We must make a name for ourselves. We must let everyone know that the Nine Heavens army is not to be trifled with. We must let everyone know the name Knight Sorrow, Datura said. Knight Sorrow smiled and shook his head. He did not care about personal fame because he did not lack anything. After chatting with Datura for a while, Knight Sorrow returned to the commander's tent. Commander, when are we going to war? Jun Xuanji asked. After the army is reorganized, we will go to the Shimwu Great World. I don't have a map, so I can't plan tactics and strategies. So we must first fight our way in and then send out scouts to collect information, Knight Sorrow said. We can send out scouts now, Jun Xuanji said. Your Highness, I will bring a secret guard to scout. This may save a lot of time, Summer City, who had been sitting on the side, said. Summer City, Xiandaozi, and Shengguanhong were all with Knight Sorrow. Okay. Xuanji, go to the Angry Lin army and gather a team of scouts. Go with Uncle Xia and the others. The Nine Heavens army must guard the teleportation portal. I will go too. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow made a decision. Once the scouts entered, the war would begin. If the scouts were caught or met with an accident, the location of the teleportation portal would be easily discovered. So once the war began, the teleportation portal must be guarded. Forever Free/CP. J. After making his decision, Knight Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to teleport to the Shimwu Great World. The teleportation array that Xiandaozi had set up was located in a remote mountain range in the Shimwu Great World. Knight Sorrow had the Nine Heavens Legion set up camp in a defensive position. After arranging the army's base, Knight Sorrow set up the command tent. Not long after it was done, the teleportation portal flashed. The Qing Emperor and the other big shots all appeared. Knight Sorrow, if you have made a decision, you should tell everyone how dangerous it is for you to bring your men here, Misty Rain said. Mistress, I know I was wrong, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Let's not talk about you anymore. Go do your thing. We'll find another place to camp, Qing Emperor said. Knowing that Knight Sorrow was leading his men to the Shimwu Great World, the big shots followed him without hesitation. Now Knight Sorrow's importance to the reincarnation Great World had surpassed the big shots. He was now the commander of the reincarnation Great World's coalition army, the #1 person under the big shots. Knight Sorrow was the #1 person under the big shots. The title of the strongest monarch was not given by himself. It was recognized by everyone. If something happened to Knight Sorrow, the reincarnation Great World's momentum would fall to the bottom. In fact, Knight Sorrow's fame was not only in the reincarnation Great World and the Shimwu Great World, but also in the Xuanhuan Great World. Tang Bo, Tang Xian, and Tang Yi were all very excited. Everyone should be like Knight Sorrow. His heroism and boldness make my blood boil, Tang Bo said excitedly. That's because he has the strength. Without strength, how can he be heroic? He will be destroyed by others, Tang Yi said with a smile. This is a realm war. We can't take part in it. Otherwise, I really want to fight with him. That's what men should do, Tang Bo said with some yearning. What's wrong with being a woman? Brother, you're wrong. Tang Yi was a little unwilling. Among the 3 siblings, Tang Yi was the youngest, but she had the highest cultivation talent. She was the first one to reach the monarch realm. Haha, it's a slip of the tongue, Tang Bo said with a smile. Every war is accompanied by the rise of elites. This is the usual practice. However, not everyone has the opportunity. Without strength, you will be easily chopped into pieces, Tang Jianfeng said. Tang Bo and the other 2 nodded. They could understand Tang Jianfeng's words. Times create heroes. If you don't have that talent, then it's useless. Looking at his confused children, Tang Jianfeng added, Father, what do you think of this realm war? Tang Yi asked. If nothing goes wrong, Shenwu Great World will lose, Tang Jianfeng said. Then Tang Jianfeng analyzed the situation and the current advantages and disadvantages for his children. The strongest monarch and the strongest army were in the reincarnation Great World. If the Heaven Masters didn't take part and didn't make any major mistakes, the reincarnation Great World would win. As for the Heaven Masters, the reincarnation Great World wasn't afraid. Knight Sorrow was born in a small world. He has commanded many realm wars. In addition, he led the Qing Emperor's army in the reincarnation Great World many times. He is very talented in this aspect. He won't make any low-level mistakes. I think the most important thing is the battle between the Heaven Masters. They are the ones who can decide the outcome of the realm war, Tang Yi said. If the Shenwu Great World's Heaven Masters were confident, they would have taken part in the battle in the reincarnation Great World. Lord of Heaven God who was suppressed by the Dark Dominator, Blood Emperor Sandalwood completely suppressed their second Lord, Lord of Heaven Origin who. Therefore, they didn't have the confidence to take part in the battle. Lord of Heaven Yuanchu and the Qing Emperor are the best among the Heaven Masters. Battle requires strength, Tang Jianfeng said. Lord of Heaven God who was slapped in the face this time. He initiated the realm war but was beaten back. If he loses the realm war he will be embarrassed, Tang Bo said. They have already lost all their dignity. It's best if we win, but it doesn't matter if we lose. If they are cowards, the reincarnation Great World will kill them. After all, no one wants to start a battle between Heaven Masters, Tang Jianfeng said. That was the truth. Fights between Heaven Masters were usually due to enmity and to snatch fortuitous encounters. Although the outcome of the realm war was important, it wasn't to the extent that they had to fight to the death. Knight Sorrow led the 9 Heavens army into the Shenwu Great World. The other armies received the news and entered as well. Knight Sorrow's military order was for all the soldiers to cultivate the joint attack array as soon as possible. This way, they could avoid losses when the battle started. Knight Sorrow's philosophy was to put people first. He didn't want to suffer any unnecessary losses. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow went to the tent of the Heaven Masters. Now the Heaven Masters were very relaxed. There was a big tea table in the middle. They were all sitting and chatting. There were extra chairs, which were Knight Sorrow's seat. In other words, Knight Sorrow had a seat at this level. Knight Sorrow wasn't a Heaven Master, but he had the strength of a Heaven Master. Sit down and drink some tea. Make the arrangements. Someone will do it. Lord of Heaven Precious Fragrance said. Thank you, Heavenly Lord. Knight Sorrow is here. I have something to tell everyone. Leave the army to me, and I don't want to see any of my brothers fall. So, there are some things that I need everyone's support for, Knight Sorrow said as he sat down. Speak. First watch. Chapter 1398. Just say it. As long as we can do it, it's not a problem. Sima Tiancheng said. Yuandao Heavenly Lord who just arrived nodded. Everyone, take out your best healing and life-saving resources, and give them to your armies. I can guarantee that you won't lose out, because I'll snatch back all the resources that you've used up, Knight Sorrow said, revealing the purpose of his trip. Knight Sorrow, you are a cultivator of the body of merit. You even do things like robbing? Red Emperor looked at Knight Sorrow in surprise. What's wrong with robbing? I am a cultivator of the world of reincarnation. The Shenwu Great World has a grudge with me. If I have the chance to cut their flesh, I will naturally do it. Knight Sorrow said. Go. Red Emperor, your news is outdated. Knight Sorrow has already become a saint in the world of reincarnation. Datira said with pride, because that was her husband. A body of merit had appeared in the world of reincarnation before. However, it did not become a saint because its cultivation level was too low. It had been annihilated in the long river of history. A saint of merit in the world of reincarnation? Yuandao Heavenly Lord looked at Knight Sorrow in surprise. Yes, it happened a while ago. I was quite lucky. Knight Sorrow said. It should have happened after you killed Prince Zhanhu's true body, right? For ordinary cultivators, the world war gives them luck. You have the foundation of a body of merit, so the benefits are great. Sima Tiancheng said with envy in his eyes. Becoming a saint of merit was too amazing. Let's not change the topic. Can you take out the best resources and give them to your respective armies? It's a matter of life and death. I hope to bring them all back. Knight Sorrow brought up the issue of resources again. Of course, it's not a problem. You don't need the resources. They are given to our own people. There's nothing wrong with that. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. The others did not disagree. Thank you for your support. As a token of appreciation, I'll serve you some good tea. Knight Sorrow took out the heart-cleansing tea and brewed a pot. The group of titans who were drinking the tea were full of praise. Heart-cleansing tea was very rare and was cultivated by Chen Chen. Knight Sorrow, give me 2 packets of these later. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said bluntly. No problem. I'll give everyone 2 packs later, Knight Sorrow said. Yuandao Heavenly Lord gave Knight Sorrow a thumbs up and said, Impressive. That's all there is to it. I'll leave you to it. Knight Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands before leaving the tent. Qing Shangjuan, these 2 disciples of yours are really a legend in the world of reincarnation. The cultivator with the body of merit who appeared last time died. He died because he attained the body of merit too late and reached the end of his lifespan. However, Knight Sorrow is different. He's more than 100 years old and he's like a baby. Who dares to look at him like a baby now? Excluding his relationship with Datura, we're all on the same level, Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Speaking of which, I'm ashamed. Actually, I've only imparted him one absolute art. I really didn't teach him anything else. It's because he's hardworking enough. The heavens are strong, and the gentleman strives to improve himself. The terrain is good, and the gentleman is virtuous. He really did it, the Lotus Emperor said. Master, you're also a cultivator of the heart and morals. Your ideals are much deeper than Junior Brother's, and you've been cultivating for countless years before him. Why did Junior Brother become a virtuous body and a virtuous saint, but you didn't? Sandalwood asked. This was something he couldn't understand. She was puzzled. It's all because I know what merit is. No matter what you do, it's considered intentional. Even if you deliberately do great good, it's still a small good. Your starting point isn't recognized by the heavenly Tao. However, your Junior Brother is different. He does things according to his nature. Therefore, his actions are most in line with the heavenly Tao. It's mainly because he has a good foundation that he was recognized by the heavenly Tao early on. Qing Emperor explained. To put it bluntly, the law of heavenly Tao likes your Junior Brother, but doesn't like your master and the others. It can even be said that it doesn't even look straight at them. That's roughly what it means. Heavenly Monarch Yufei translated the words for him. A good foundation is just like how everyone likes a good-looking person when he's young. Even if he's ugly, no one likes him when he does good deeds. That's what it means. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said with a smile. Brother Yuandao, I don't have anything to say about your explanation. Qing Emperor was speechless at Yuandao Heavenly Lord's explanation. What's wrong? You don't let people talk about your ugly looks? Yuandao Heavenly Lord took a sip of tea and said. Hearing Yuandao Heavenly Lord's words, everyone laughed. Although they were usually in the same great world, they rarely had such interactions. Then everyone discussed and decided to split into 2 groups. One group would guard this place, while the other would follow Knight Sorrow and the 9 Heavens Army. Everyone knew that Knight Sorrow and the 9 Heavens Army would definitely face the most difficult challenges. The teleportation formation here also had to be guarded. There was a law of war that forbade the destruction of inter-realm teleportation formations. However, the teleportation formation was used for war purposes. It was a strategic teleportation formation, and could be easily attacked. While waiting for information, Knight Sorrow would walk around the various armies every day to see how everyone was cultivating the joint attack formation. In addition, the various forces had already sent the best resources to the armies. Knowing that this was Knight Sorrow's request, all the commanders and generals were very grateful. This was because rare resources were the foundation of a force. Under normal circumstances, they would not be used. On this day, Knight Sorrow was about to go to the 9 Heavens Army's god-slaying territory to see his brothers when Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan came. Father, a spatial world has appeared around the 9 regions world. It is now connected to the 9 regions world. My sister and I plan to go in and explore it. However, mother and aunts want us to get your permission first, Yi Yujun said. I know. The world is very big. I don't have time to investigate the situation. It might be dangerous inside, Night Sorrow said. Half a month ago, Night Sorrow's clone in the Heaven Sealing Palace knew about this. Because he was busy with the Realm War, he did not pay attention to this matter. Father, you've been roaming the world since you were a young man. Although it has something to do with your situation back then, it's also inseparable from your determination. It's also inextricably linked to your achievements today. So father, you should let us go, Yi Yujun said. Aluo, what do you think? Night Sorrow looked at Datura in the tent and said, your philosophy is that it is enough to fight for yourself. You can give your family a stable life. However, the children also need their own world. Although I may take responsibility for saying this, I am still their aunt, Datura said. Aunts, this is my own choice. Even if something happens, I am grateful for your support, Yi Yujun said. The worlds around the 9 regions world are places I should go, Night Sorrow muttered. Speak. Second update. Thank you to Iju and Hua and ZZZZZ for unblocking yesterday's chapter. Thank you to 4 brothers for your support. Brothers, take a break and continue. Chapter 1399. Go to the Heaven Sealing Palace and get the concentric crystal from me. That way, you can talk to Aunt Luo at any time. I will be the first to know if anything happens. Go. Night Sorrow said to Yi Yujun. Thank you, Aunt Luo. Thank you, father. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan bowed. Perhaps I was wrong in the past. I want to be a good father, but you have your own path. I will not stand in your way. Go. Be careful. If anything happens, talk to Aunt Luo. If there is any danger, don't hide it. I will help you immediately. Night Sorrow said. Then Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan left. Night Sorrow, why did the spatial world suddenly appear? Datura was confused. The 9 regions world developed rapidly because of my cultivation. So many variables have appeared. However, it is not a big problem. Because I have the origin of the supreme world, some of the world's rules are ineffective against me. Only king can enter, but not me. Therefore, if Yujun and Qingyan are in danger, I can enter to help, Night Sorrow said. Many spatial worlds restricted the entry of kings for self-protection. However, Night Sorrow was the master of the supreme world's origin. He could suppress some of the spatial world's rules. After his son and daughter left, Night Sorrow went to take a look at the god-slaying team. The members of the god-slaying team were improving rapidly, especially the talented ones. Long Jin had already become a mid-level king. There were also a few half-step kings. The rest were all advancing towards the high-level Holy King. The members of the god-slaying team were soldiers in the 9 Heavens army. However, because they were improving, Nu Lin and the other generals did not restrict their freedom. They would often return to the time acceleration treasure in the city in the sky to cultivate. After that, they would train in actual combat in the army. Therefore, the speed and stability of their cultivation were not a problem. After asking some questions and giving some pointers, Night Sorrow returned to the main tent. Not long after Night Sorrow returned to the main tent, Summer City and a few secret guards returned. Uncle Summer, did you find anything? He asked after asking Hong Yi to make tea. I found something. This is the map of the Shenwu Great World that I bought in the city. Summer City took out a map and handed it to Night Sorrow. Yi Shang took the map and looked at it. He found that the map was very detailed, and the division of the factions was very clear. Yi Shang observed the positions of the Zhanwu dynasty, Martial Sacred Hall, and Poison King Valley. He discovered that the 3 forces were rather close to each other, and seemed to be guarding each other. Yi Shan felt that they could deal with Battle Sacred Hall first because it was closer to the mountain range. The second day after Summer City came back, Xian Daozi and Shang Guanhong also came back. They went out to gather information. Summer City looked for the map and the distribution of the factions, as well as the situation of each city. Xian Daozi and Shang Guanhong brought people to gather information. Yi Shang took a look at the information, and found that the Martial Sacred Hall wasn't that hard to fight. The martial sacred hall had two overlords. One was the hall master, who was Sha Chongtian's master, and the other was the grand elder, martial god Xiyang. The headquarters of the martial sacred hall was located at the martial sacred mountain, and the main city was the divine hall city. Other than the palace master and martial god Xiyang, the strongest people were Sha Chongtian and the three palace protector elders. They were all high-level monarchs. After some calculations, Knight Sorrow decided to take action. He had a high chance of winning. After that, Knight Sorrow embedded a teleportation crystal in the inter-realm teleportation array and set off with Xiacheng. The others wanted to follow, but Knight Sorrow didn't. Your Highness, they're dead for sure. Xiacheng, who was following Yi Chang, was very excited. He knew Yi Chang's battle strategy and knew that Martial Sacred Hall would unknowingly fall for it and suffer heavy losses. Yes. If everything goes well, we can destroy Martial Sacred Palace, Knight Sorrow said. Yi Shang did not have a good impression of the Martial Sacred Hall. Xiang Martial God was very shameless. Moreover, without the approval of the Martial Sacred Hall's Hall Master, the Martial Sacred Hall would not follow the Zhongwu dynasty as a lackey. The only person Yi Shang approved of was Sha Chongtian, who was a man and very courageous. After destroying Martial Sacred Palace, the ones we need to kill are the Zhongwu dynasty and Poison King Valley, Summer City said excitedly. Knight Sorrow and Summer City were small targets. They wouldn't attract the attention of the big shots. A Heaven Master would only be able to sense other Heaven Master great leaders. The feeling of rejection or the feeling of the same origin between perfected willpower was very strong. Knight Sorrow's willpower also had power. However, it wasn't perfect and wouldn't be detected. In addition, Knight Sorrow had the secret of true body, which could seal all his aura. When they arrived at a more secluded area of Martial Sacred Mountain, Knight Sorrow set up a large-scale illusion array. He then set up a teleportation formation and teleported back to the stronghold in the Blue Shadow Mountain range. He called the commanders of the various armies and asked Jun Xuanji to arrange for everyone to teleport. Then Knight Sorrow went to the main tent of the big shots and explained his strategy. Yi Shang, according to your estimation, if we can suppress the other two Heaven Masters, then this battle with Martial Sacred Hall will be a battle of annihilation. Sima Tiancheng asked Yi Shang. That's right. As long as the Sky Pillar Giants don't interfere, we can easily topple the Martial Sacred Hall. After the battle, the Martial Sacred Hall will only have two giants without an army, Yi Shang said confidently. It's good to take them by surprise. If their two big shots want to make a move, then kill them together. In the future, there will be no more Martial Sacred Palace in the Shenwu Great World, Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Also, after the battle with Martial Sacred Palace, we have to move quickly. Our next target is Poison King Valley. We will use the same strategy to quickly deal with Poison King Valley, Knight Sorrow said. Why not the Zhongwu dynasty? Red Emperor asked. It's easy to change the battle with the Tiger dynasty. They originally had 3 emperors. Including the traitorous Thunderfire Heaven Monarch, they have 4 big shots. They might resist and the battle situation won't be too stable. Rather than that, it's better to expand the battle results and deal a heavy blow to the 2 forces that have enmity with us first. This way, we can expand our advantage. Knight Sorrow explained the reason for his choice. I support it. What do you all think? Qing Emperor looked at the group and asked. No problem. It was decided from the beginning that the battle will be commanded by Knight Sorrow. Then, we will follow Knight Sorrow's plan. Even if such a decision wasn't made, this strategy is the most suitable, Sima Tiancheng said. Li Tianba and Red Emperor nodded to express their support. Speak. Third Watch. Chapter 1400. I have already set up the teleportation portal, and the army has already started the teleportation. Everyone, don't move first as they will discover us. I will go to the vicinity of Poison King Valley to set up the teleportation portal. Then, I will come back to bring everyone there and start the massacre. Knight Sorrow told us what to do next. Very good. Next you make the arrangements. We'll fight however you want, said Yuandao Heavenly Lord. He was very impressed with Yi Shan's tactical arrangements. Since the war has started, There is no need to talk about sneak attacks. I just want to win. Also, to prevent us from losing our advantage in the final battle, it would be best if we can kill the Heaven Masters of Martial Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley, Night Sorrow said. Kill the Heaven Masters too? Lord of Heaven looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. This was because Night Sorrow was very different from before. He was full of fighting spirit. Why not? Didn't they start the battle of the Heaven Masters? Heavenly Lord Shen, who has made his move more than once in the Samsara Great Realm. If he can't defeat us, it means that he isn't strong enough. Now that we have a chance, we naturally have to expand our gains. That way, when we attack the Martial Dynasty, they won't be able to fight to the death even if they want to. Yi Shan explained the reason for his decision. That's right. When they attacked the Reincarnation Great World, Lord of Heaven God who made his move twice. It was just that the strength he was so proud of was ineffective. Now that we have the chance to get rid of a few despicable people, we should expand our advantage. Datira supported Night Sorrow's point of view. Even if Night Sorrow's point of view was wrong, she would support it unconditionally. It's decided. Night Sorrow, go and make the arrangements. Lord of Heaven said. Night Sorrow cupped his hands to everyone in the tent and went to make the arrangements. The analysis of the situation and the trend is on point. If we don't get rid of the Heaven Masters, when we attack the Zhongwu dynasty, they will have a large number of Heaven Masters. They might fight to the death with us. If we get rid of a few first, we will have a huge advantage. When our army attacks the Zhongwu dynasty, they can only watch. If one wasn't strong enough, would they be able to open it? At that time, we will have the final say in how we fight. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Red Emperor, Datira, this king can understand how you felt when you were fighting against the Qing Emperor's imperial dynasty. Facing a commander with this kind of war command, anyone would have a headache. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. I was beaten up by my husband. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Datira said with a smile. If the realm war goes well and we win, the origin of the world of samsara will be rewarded by the heavenly way. We will also be blessed by the origin of the world of samsara. The benefits will be immeasurable, the Qing Emperor said. When the world's origin rewards him based on his contributions, the one who contributed the most is still him. Haha. The commander of the Alliance Army, the strategist, and the key person who decided the victory. We can't compare to him. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. He didn't do it intentionally. He just wanted to win this realm war. He probably didn't even think about what he would gain. The Qing Emperor shook his head. He knew that Night Sorrow didn't have any utilitarian intentions. Night Sorrow and Summer City carefully made their way to the Poison King's Valley area. Then they started to set up a teleportation array in the illusory array. After the teleportation array in the illusory array was connected to the one in the Martial God Palace, Night Sorrow and Summer City were teleported to the illusory array in the Martial God Palace area. Commander, you are here. Our army is ready to attack at any time, Jun Xuanji reported. Nu Lin, Qiuhe Yufeng, and the others nodded at Yi Shang. They were all prepared for battle. After the battle here, we need to quickly move to the next battlefield and attack the Poison King's Valley. I want to cripple the Martial God Palace and the Poison King's Valley in this battle. Night Sorrow said to the commanders and sovereigns present. Commander, you just came from the Poison King's Valley? Nu Lin asked. That's right. After the battle here, we need to quickly teleport over and start the battle. Night Sorrow nodded. Nu Lin and the others were very excited. The next battle was revenge. In the years that Night Sorrow wasn't around, everyone had been suppressed. Now that they had a chance to release their pent-up emotions, they were naturally excited and happy. After giving the order to prepare for battle, Night Sorrow teleported back to the Blue Eagle Mountain and arrived at the Sky Master's tent. I plan to attack the Martial God Palace at night. When the time comes, everyone just needs to rush over, Night Sorrow said. Okay, no problem. Qing Emperor nodded. Everyone, teleport over after we start the battle. That way, even if their Sky Master senses it, it'll be useless. When the battle starts, they can only defend themselves. They won't have time to think of any countermeasures, Night Sorrow said. After the discussion, Night Sorrow returned to the illusion array in the Martial God Palace area and waited for the sky to turn dark. When the sky turned dark, the battle would begin. Night Sorrow was also a little excited. The next 2 battles would determine the direction of the world war between the 2 great worlds. All the legions were ready to fight at any time. Night Sorrow called the commanders of the various legions to the tent. Then he took out a map and told everyone the areas that each legion would be responsible for. After giving the instructions, Night Sorrow put away the map and waited for the time of the final battle to arrive. When the moon rose and the stars twinkled in the sky, Night Sorrow came out of the tent and called for everyone to gather. The next battle is the most crucial one. Thank you for your hard work. Everyone come back alive, Night Sorrow said. Commander Night, you don't have to be so polite. We know what to do, Yufeng said. Look at the original chapter, section. Okay then let's start the battle. Xuanji, go back and inform my master and the others that the battle has begun. Night Sorrow stopped the illusion array after he finished speaking. Then he led the 9 Heavens Legion to the core area of the Martial God Palace. That was the resource building, the area where the resources were hidden. Night Sorrow didn't say anything when someone blocked his way. He just waved his hand and killed. At that moment, the other Sky Masters who received the news also appeared. They had to pin down the 2 Sky Masters of the Martial God Palace. Everyone watch this place. I'll go and kill them. Datira's body flashed and flew toward the area where he sensed the opportunity. Misty Rain and Lord of Precious Fragrance are here. The teleportation array can't be destroyed. Everyone else start killing. The 2 Sky Masters of the Martial God Palace must be eliminated today, the Red Emperor said. Night Sorrow led his men and charged toward the core area of the Martial God Palace. Night Sorrow killed anyone who blocked his way with Sky Splitter. When he sensed the auras of several Sky Masters, the Martial God Palace Master ended his cultivation and appeared in front of the pavilion. Martial God Xiang also appeared. Xiang, what's going on? The Martial God Palace Master's expression was very ugly. A sneak attack. The people of the reincarnation great world are attacking us. Martial God Xiang looked up at the sky because Datira had arrived. Speak. 4th update. Today's update complete. Chapter 1401. Dark Dominator, what are you trying to do? The Martial Sacred Hall Master, who was wearing a long robe with golden cloud patterns, asked Datira, what am I trying to do? Isn't that obvious? Of course, I'm trying to kill you. Weren't you having a great time following Lord of Heaven God Tiger around? Today you will die. Datira said as he struck with his hollow blade. A blade radiance slashed towards the Martial Sacred Hall Master. The Martial Sacred Hall Master's expression changed as he floated back. Then he held a long sword in his hand. He was very clear that today was a calamity because Mandela and Lord of Heaven God, who had a slight advantage in the battle. Lord of Heaven God Tiger was the #1 expert in the Shenwu Great World. The Martial Sacred Hall Master was no match for him. In comparison, he was naturally no match for Datira. Xiang, quickly go to the Zhanwu dynasty and ask for help. The Martial Sacred Hall Master shouted as he retreated. He knew that if he wanted to escape today's calamity, he had to find an ally. Without an ally, he would die today. Request for help? Don't count on it. Today, you will pay the price for invading the world of samsara. Sandalwood appeared with her battle blade and charged towards Martial God Xiang. Red Emperor, Sky Tiger Valley Master, you guys hold the formation. Qing Emperor, leave. We will kill his clone. You want to run? Dream on. Lord of Heaven Yuandao shouted. Are you guys trying to kill me? Hearing Lord of Heaven Yuandao's words, the Martial Sacred Hall Master was shocked. Lord of Heaven Yuandao's words were equivalent to cutting off his path. Datira's body flashed as he struck with his hollow blade again and again. The blade radiance formed a net that restricted the Martial Sacred Hall Master's movement space. The Martial God Palace Master's body flashed with light, and the long sword in his hand slashed fiercely in one direction, trying to open up a path of survival. However, Mandela was waiting for him in front of him, and she directly used the Great Death Destruction / Don't push me too far. The martial Sacred Hall Master roared as his clone was being attacked by Lord of Heaven Yuandao. I'm going to kill you. How can I push you too far? Why are you so talkative? The black halo triggered by Datura's death annihilation / enveloped the martial god Hall Master. The hollow blade slashed toward the martial god Hall Master's head with a blade beam. Roar! The martial god Palace Master roared furiously as he struggled to resist the negative effects of the black halo. Absolute arts were not invincible. It also depended on the opponent's strength. The martial god Palace Master was affected by the death obliteration / his effects on his soul and space-time. He fell into a predicament, but he did not lose consciousness. Therefore, he tried his best to struggle. The martial god Palace Master struggled to break free from the suppression and influence of the black light. Datura's machete arrived. He could only hurriedly block. How could the martial god Palace's Palace Master block the attack in a fluster? The long sword in his hand blocked the path of Datura's hollow blade, but the blade aura pierced his body and forced him to retreat. After forcing the martial Sacred Hall's Hall Master to retreat, Datura caught up with him in a flash and performed the Great Death Destruction / once again. The martial god Palace Master roared furiously as he struggled to break free from the influence on his soul. Then he used his sword to block. After blocking twice, the martial god Palace Master was severely injured. His chest and abdomen were pierced by Datura's blade aura. Martial god Xiang was in an even worse state. His original body and clone were fighting Xiao Tan at the same time. However, he was still at a disadvantage. Xiao Tan's attacks were extremely violent. She suppressed his original body and had already chopped off half of his original body. You are no longer a match for me. I have nothing to say to you. After saying that, the Red Emperor attacked and charged toward martial god Shi Yang's clone. Night Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to the Divine Martial Pavilion and destroyed the teleportation array first. Then he continued to kill. He did not want any reinforcements to appear. Furious roars and screams rang out continuously. However, they were not from the Nine Heavens army. The Nine Heavens army soldiers gritted their teeth and killed. Even if they were injured, they did not make a sound. Silent killing was a tradition of the Nine Heavens army. Moreover, there were not many who were injured. At this moment, the martial Sacred Hall was already in a daze. Battles broke out everywhere in the martial Sacred Hall's region. Several legions surrounded and attacked together. Furthermore, the martial Sacred Hall's Divine Hall Legion had nearly been destroyed some time ago. Hence, the martial Sacred Hall did not have the strength to resist. It was a one-sided massacre. The battle between the powerhouses was still ongoing. However, the martial Sacred Hall Master couldn't withstand Datura's attacks at all. When Datura used his third ultimate move, he was killed. He didn't even have the chance to escape. Sandalwood also killed martial god Shi Yang's main body. The Red Emperor and martial god Shi Yang's clone were still fighting. The Red Emperor had the upper hand. Xuanji Nu Lin, go wash the resources and bring them away, Night Sorrow shouted. He wanted to kill the enemy, so he had to leave the looting to others. The 7 legions of the Nine Heavens army had destroyed the martial Sacred Hall. Hence, there was no difficulty in looting the resources. After killing martial god Shi Yang's main body, Sandalwood went towards martial god Shi Yang's clone again. You caused trouble during my wedding. That's the reason why you died today. Red Emperor retreated. Sandalwood had no difficulty killing martial god Shi Yang's clone. She had already killed the main body, so why couldn't she kill the clone? Everyone knew that the main body was stronger than the clone. At this moment, Yuandao Heavenly Lord and Qing Emperor returned. The martial Sacred Hall Master's clone had already been killed by Yuandao Heavenly Lord. The battle was over. Only martial god Shi Yang's clone was left struggling under Sandalwood's blade. Quickly, we're done here. Let's move on to the next battlefield, Night Sorrow ordered. Soon, the war was over. Murderers killed, robbers killed, and the war was over. Sandalwood also killed martial god Shi Yang's clone. Let's go to the teleportation formation. Let's start the next battle. Night Sorrow led his people and flew towards the teleportation formation. The heavenly lords were floating in the air. The arrangements are appropriate. The results are remarkable. The Crimson Emperor said with some emotion. Yes, when Shinwu Great World attacked us, they didn't give any orders. They just fought randomly. Compared to Night Sorrow, they were on a completely different level. Datura said. Of course, Night Sorrow's ability is related, but everyone's trust is also very important. Without everyone's support, Night Sorrow's strength would be limited. Qing Emperor said. Let's go. Let's stop sighing. Night Sorrow and the others are starting to teleport. After the Poison King's Valley is destroyed, we can drink tea and chat. Li Tianba said. At this time, Night Sorrow was leading his people to the teleportation formation. Destroying the martial sacred hall and killing 2 heavenly lords was a great achievement. If the Poison King's Valley was eliminated, the Shenwu Great World's strength would drop by a lot. The happiest parties were the Zhanwu Dynasty and the Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow and the Fortune Gate didn't have much interaction. When he was in the Ice Dragon world, the Fortune Gate's Bai Yin led a team to hunt him down once. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the army was rapidly teleporting. Time. What was important was to end the battle quickly and expand the battle results before the Shenwu Great World could react. Speak. First update. Chapter 1402. As there were too many people, the teleportation took half an hour to complete. After the teleportation, Night Sorrow turned around and saw that the Heaven Masters had arrived. He gave the order to start the battle. Several legions attacked together. In a short while, the disciples of the Poison King Valley were being slaughtered. Cries and howls could be heard everywhere. Although the disciples of the Poison King Valley cultivated poison arts, their protective chi shields were effective against poison arts if they were prepared. They were too fast and ruthless. The legions were all led by high-class monarchs. The disciples of the Poison King Valley weren't able to withstand them. The legions surrounded the headquarters of the Poison King Valley and continued the massacre. Damn it! All of you deserve to die. The Heaven Lord of Poison was floating above the Poison King Hall. He was already surrounded by the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation. It's you who deserves to die. You entered the world of reincarnation to show off your prowess, and then ran back like nothing happened? Let's kill him and be done with it. The Red Emperor shouted and attacked. The Qing Emperor and the others didn't stay idle. The Heaven Lord of Poison was proficient in poison. If they didn't kill him quickly and give him a chance to use poison, it would be troublesome. The Heaven Masters might be fine, but it would be fatal for the soldiers. The Heaven Lord of Poison was flustered when the Heaven Lord of Poison attacked at the same time. He couldn't resist at all, and his legs were chopped off by the Heaven Lord of Origin Dao. Then the Qing Emperor's Great Emperor Reincarnation / and Datira's Great Death Destruction / landed on his body. Translator, Lon_editor. Ephidacia. Without a doubt, the Heaven Lord of Poison was chopped up by the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation. He didn't even have the chance to release the clone in his body before he was annihilated. Lord Ruler, take it easy. The saber radiance almost cut me, Li Tianba muttered. Datira's saber aura was too fast. Li Tianba, who was opposite her, was almost injured by the saber aura after it pierced through the Heaven Lord of Poison. Stupid. Datira glanced at the Heaven Lord of Poison. Night Sorrow led a few legions and washed the Poison King Valley with blood. If someone was poisoned, there would be others who would immediately come to their aid. Everyone had brought top-notch resources with them, so detoxifying the poison would not be a problem. After collecting the resources, Night Sorrow turned to the Sky Master's side. 2 battles have been completed. This was a surprise attack. Next, it will be a head-on battle. Very good. You destroyed 2 forces and 3 Sky Masters in one move. The results of the battle are already beyond our expectations. I was just thinking that if you were a cultivator from Shenwu Great World, some of us might have already fallen, Sima Tiancheng said. Our current achievements are inseparable from your support. Why can't they make progress in the Samsara world? Due to the lack of trust between the various factions, the Alliance Army does not have a unified command. This does not apply to us, so we have the advantage, and they have the disadvantage, Night Sorrow said. That's right. Without a unified command, how can tactics and strategies be carried out perfectly? Therefore, the situation is in our favor. Sima Tiancheng said. Let's go back and have some tea. After that, we will split the spoils. Night Sorrow said to the group with a smile. Following that, the group left. Night Sorrow brought up the rear and dismantled the 2 teleportation arrays before returning to Blue Eagle Mountain. Night Sorrow called Jun Xuanji, Nu Lin, Qiu He, and Yu Feng, who were collecting the resources over. The principle of resource distribution is to be divided equally among the major factions. However, those who have suffered heavy losses will get more. You guys decide what to do next. Night Sorrow said to the commanders. All the Sky Masters nodded. Night Sorrow had done a good job. Also, all the legions should rest. I will study the next target. Night Sorrow said. There was no problem with resource distribution. All the resources from the 2 top factions gave everyone a good income. Night Sorrow went to the 9 Heavens army to take a look. There were 100 injured and some dead. They were poisoned and could not be rescued in time. Although Night Sorrow was heartbroken, he knew that this was unavoidable. People would die in a war. If there were no deaths, it would not be a war. Night Sorrow emphasized that they had to deal with the aftermath properly before returning to his tent. The Shenwu Great World was in an uproar. 2 top factions were destroyed and 3 Sky Masters fell. This had not happened in countless years. Everyone in the Shenwu Great World knew that it was done by the Reincarnation Great World. However, no one knew where the Reincarnation Great World's people were. The Reincarnation Great World's attacks were sharp. With lightning speed, they destroyed 2 top factions and killed 3 Sky Masters before retreating. This made all the factions in the Shenwu Great World uneasy. No one knew which faction the Reincarnation Great World's next target would be. In the Skymoon City Lord's mansion of the Skymoon Pavilion, Lin Qingyi was talking to an old man in plain robes. Qingyi, are you saying that the Reincarnation Great World will not attack us? The old man asked. The old man in plain robes was the Pavilion Lord of the Skymoon Pavilion, the 3 Sons Lord of Heaven. He had been to the Reincarnation Great World before. However, after Lin Qingyi was defeated, he returned to the Shenwu Great World. He had participated in the Realm War before. Since he had lost, he did not care. Night Sorrow said that as long as we do not participate in the Realm War, they will not come to our region. He is now the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. He can still make this decision, Lin Qingyi said. Her clone was in charge of the captives in the Reincarnation Great World. Her original body had returned to the Shenwu Great World with the 3 Sons Lord of Heaven. The Martial Sacred Hall brought this upon themselves. Back then, they wanted to snatch the Heavenly Tao artifact and then declared war. It caused a huge commotion. Now they followed the Zhanhu dynasty and started the Realm War. Hence, they brought this upon themselves. However, the enemy's methods were quite ruthless. They directly launched a thunderous attack and destroyed 2 forces. They killed 3 Heaven Masters. Their original body and clone were all destroyed. This was a fatal blow. The 3 Sons Lord of Heaven took a deep breath. He was even a little afraid because this method was too difficult to defend against. Master, we have lost this realm war. The main reason is that we were unrighteous. Our reason for participating in the realm war was not justified. The Zhangwu dynasty lost 2 powerful allies. It will be almost impossible for them to win the realm war in the future, Lin Qingyi said. The Heaven Masters of the Reincarnation Great World are really bold. They actually let a young man become the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. The 3 Sons Lord of Heaven did not understand. This was because it was equivalent to handing over his army to someone else. He had to accept it as cannon fodder. Night Sorrow is very strong, especially when it comes to war. He was able to gain the trust of others. The main reason is that he is a cultivator of the body of merit. He will not do things that go against his conscience. In addition, he is strong enough to be promoted. He also gained the support of everyone in the Reincarnation Great World, Lin Qingyi said. If we lost, then we lost. We also contributed to the realm war. If Heaven Master God who thinks that he is strong enough, then he can solve the problem himself, the 3 Sons Lord of Heaven said. Speak. Second update. Thank you for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 1403. The Zhongwu dynasty is arrogant and overbearing. Now that they've kicked an iron plate, they won't take this lying down. They destroyed Marshall's Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley because they were the most aggressive. Destroying them was also an opportunity to widen the gap between the Reincarnation Great World and the Xinwu Great World. They succeeded and destroyed 3 of the giants of the Xinwu Great World. Now the Xinwu Great World is not afraid of a head-on battle. They won't be at a disadvantage even if they fight head-on, Lin Qingyi said. We don't care about this anymore. As long as they don't come to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's territory, it's fine. As for the realm war that hurt the Reincarnation Great World, we'll compensate them. If we lose and can't defeat them, we'll have to pay the price. That's the rule. The 3 Sons Lord of Heaven said. I understand. I'll talk to him when I can, Lin Qingyi said. Lin Qingyi said. She didn't know where Yishang and his men were, so there was no way to negotiate. After settling everything, Night Sorrow went to the tent where the Sky Master was. He drank tea and chatted with everyone. Night Sorrow, what's next? Li Tianba asked. There's no hurry. The realm war isn't over in a day or 2. What we want is victory. As long as we win, it doesn't matter if it's earlier or later, Night Sorrow said. That's right. What's the hurry? The precious fragrance Lord of Heaven glared at Li Tianba. These bastards need to be dealt with. Today's battle was so satisfying that I want to do it a few more times, Li Tianba said with a smile. There's no hurry. It's still early for the realm war to end. Everyone stay here for now. I'll go back to Black Fiend City to take a look. There are many captives there. We have to be safe, Night Sorrow said. Qing Emperor and the rest nodded. The stability of the Reincarnation Great World was a must. Night Sorrow returned to Black Fiend City through the teleportation formation. He went to the place where the captives lived. Seeing Night Sorrow, Lin Qingyi was stunned. Aren't you commanding the realm war? Yes, after 2 battles, I was worried about the stability of your side, so I came to take a look, Night Sorrow said. I will do what I promised you, Lin Qingyi said. I believe you. If there's a situation or a riot, the 2 armies in Black Fiend City will go out. If there's a need, you can also inform them, Night Sorrow said. Currently, the Chiwa Army and the Green Phoenix Army were stationed in Black Fiend City. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. There's something else I want to talk to you about. Lin Qingyi knew that Night Sorrow was worried. She also wanted to talk to her master about the matter. After all, it was not easy to see Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow followed Lin Qingyi into the tent. Martial God Palace Lord, Martial God Xiyang, and Poison King Heaven Monarch were all killed by you guys. You guys are fast, Lin Qingyi said after brewing a pot of tea. How do you know? I understand now. You have a doppelganger in Xinwu Great World. Night Sorrow understood immediately. My master wants me to talk to you. There are some things that I won't hide from you. Our Heavenly Moon Pavilion participated in the World War, and although we have withdrawn now, we still fought in the world of reincarnation. Hence, we have to give you an explanation. You can tell me what you want. My master just doesn't want the Heavenly Moon Pavilion region to be affected by the flames of war, Lin Qingyi said. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion is very gentlemanly. If it's my personal matter, there's no need to ask for anything. However, it's the Alliance Army now. You guys can arrange for me to explain to the Alliance Army, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Okay, there's a Qingyi Marquis mansion in Heavenly Moon City. That's my territory. If you trust me, you can find me. Go to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. If I can't guarantee your safety, I'll be abandoned by everyone, Lin Qingyi said. Okay, I'll go when I have time, Night Sorrow nodded. You're really powerful. You've reduced part of the Xinwu Great World's strength in one go. Your victory rate in the realm war is more than half. The allies of the Zhongwu dynasty have been defeated by you, so they don't have much say, Lin Qingyi said. It's not my intention to kill. However, people should be indomitable and have a clear conscience. The Xinwu Great World started a realm war on our world of samsara. They killed people and robbed resources. As a cultivator of the world of samsara, I can't take this lying down, Night Sorrow said. I can understand. I don't think you're wrong either. This is the way of the world, Lin Qingyi said. Only one One original copy. Others are all stolen copies. Original copy. After Night Sorrow returned to the Blue Eagle Mountain in the Shimwu Great World, he first sent out the spies of the Angry Lin army to gather information. Then he went to the big tent of the Sky Master and told him about the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's decision. They're purely fighting for the Realm War. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, as long as they withdraw from the Realm War, we can't pursue the matter. I think that since they're willing to give an explanation, you can make the arrangements, Sima Tiancheng said. It's actually a matter of face. For the sake of stability, they're willing to give us an explanation. This is good for both sides, Red Emperor said. That's what I was thinking too. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I don't want to become a traitor when the time comes for more or less resources, said Yishan. This was his purpose for coming here. He didn't want others to not understand. What are you talking about? Even if someone calls us traitors, no one will call you a traitor, Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Everyone smiled and nodded. That was the truth. No matter who was a traitor, Night Sorrow wouldn't be a traitor. In the current situation of the world of reincarnation, Night Sorrow was the commander and the Sky Master was his henchman. Everyone, please take care of this place. I'll be leaving for a while later, Night Sorrow said. You're leaving? Aren't you the commander of the army? Sima Tiancheng frowned. I only had a brief discussion with the Marquis of Qingyi about the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. They invited me over and promised my safety. Once we get rid of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, we'll have one less opponent, Night Sorrow said. Promise. Maybe they don't mean to hurt you, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. Qing Emperor didn't agree. Night Sorrow's safety was too important. How about this? I'll go with you. The other party is sincere. It wouldn't be appropriate if we don't go. Let's go and see the situation. Even if something happens, it won't be difficult for us to escape unscathed. Datura stood up and said. If you asked who was most worried about Night Sorrow, it would be Datura. In her heart, Night Sorrow was an indomitable man. At the same time, he also needed to be taken care of and loved because he had a lot to bear. That's fine. Also, it's not appropriate for us to go out rashly. I've already sent out spies to gather information. When I return, we can start the next battle, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow and Datura left the tent. There won't be any danger. Let's just treat it as a sightseeing trip. We'll go to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion as guests, Night Sorrow said. Speak. Third Watch. Chapter 1404. You sure are confident. I like your aura and boldness, Datura said with a smile. Hee. Your words make me feel sweet in my heart. What men care about the most is their woman's evaluation, Yishan said. Datura smiled, because she liked this feeling. No matter how imposing Night Sorrow was when he led the army, no matter how strong his killing intent was when he faced his enemies, he would always be gentle and polite when facing his family and wife. In the commander's tent, Yishang and Mandela left Blue Eagle Mountain after informing Nu Lin and Jun Xuanji. They flew toward the nearest city. When they arrived at the nearest city, Night Sorrow and Datura began to teleport. The Shenwu Great World was dominated by human cultivators. Datura wore a veil to cover her beautiful face, so she didn't attract too much attention. After a few teleportations, the two arrived at the Sky Moon Pavilion's territory. After another teleportation, Night Sorrow and Datura arrived at Sky Moon City. When the soldier guarding the teleportation array saw Night Sorrow and Datura, he took 2 steps back because he could see Night Sorrow's cultivation. We don't have any hostility. We are only here to find someone. Can you take us to the Qingyi Marquis residence? Night Sorrow asked. You are looking for the young pavilion master? The soldier stopped the soldiers who surrounded them and asked. Yes, Lin Qingyi asked me to go to the Qingyi Marquis residence to find her, Night Sorrow said. The soldier was a little hesitant. The other soldiers still surrounded Night Sorrow and Datura. It's fine if you can't take us. We will wait. You can go and report, Night Sorrow said again. Why are you wasting your breath on them? They invited us here. Yet they don't know how to treat us courteously? Datura was a little angry as he released the suppressed aura of his leakless true body. Datira had just released his aura when an elder appeared. It was the Three Suns' heavenly monarch, who was wearing a plain robe and a silver crown. "Don't be rude. Step down." Three Suns' heavenly monarch shouted at the soldiers. Datira cupped his hands at the Three Suns' heavenly monarch. "Lord Ruler is here. They don't know how to be polite. Sorry for offending you." The Three Suns' heavenly monarch had met Datira before. In the reincarnation great world, he had watched the battle between Datira and Heaven Lord Shenhu. "Nothing much. I was just following Night Sorrow for a walk." Seeing that the Three Suns' heaven monarch's attitude was better, Datira restrained his aura. "Forever free of charge. See small carrot say, Lord Ruler, you think too much. Since we invited Commander Knight, I will definitely take good care of him," said the Three Suns princess. Then the Three Suns' heavenly monarch brought Night Sorrow and Datira to the Qingyi Marquis residence. "Commander Knight is here. Qingyi did not welcome you properly." Night Sorrow and the others had just arrived at the Qingyi Marquis residence when Lin Qingyi appeared. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Lin Qingyi. After entering the residence, Lin Qingyi personally brewed some tea. "Commander Knight, Lord Ruler, as a force of the Shimu Great World, participating in this realm war is the responsibility of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. However, we have brought trouble to the reincarnation Great World. If the Heavenly Moon Pavilion wants to withdraw from this war, they must give us an explanation." "I understand this." The Three Suns' heavenly monarch was straightforward. "Lord Heavenly Monarch, you are reasonable. From my point of view, this is nothing. However, we must give the Alliance and the Allied forces an explanation," said Night Sorrow. "This is the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's compensation to the reincarnation Great World. We only ask that the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region be spared from the flames of war." The Three Suns princess took out a storage ring and placed it in front of Night Sorrow. "Lord Heavenly Monarch, you are too kind. When Night Sorrow returns, I will explain this matter to the leaders of the reincarnation Great World. The Alliance will not attack the Heavenly Moon Pavilion," said Night Sorrow. "Aren't you going to take a look at what's in the storage ring?" The Three Suns' heavenly monarch looked at Night Sorrow in confusion. "Actually, it doesn't matter what's in the storage ring. Lord Heavenly Monarch's attitude is enough. Rather than saying that the storage ring is compensation, it's more like an attitude that we need," said Night Sorrow. "All right." The Three Suns' heavenly monarch nodded. "After today's matter, our people will not enter the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region. Furthermore, today's matter will not be leaked. Although you are doing this for the sake of the people of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region, you will not be able to avoid criticism," said Night Sorrow. The Three Suns' heavenly monarch nodded. "I didn't expect you to understand me." The few of them sat for a while. The Three Suns' heavenly monarch instructed Lin Qingyi to take care of the guests before he left. The matter had been settled. After checking into the guest room that Lin Qingyi had arranged for them, Night Sorrow opened the storage ring. 300,000 sacred spirit stones. This is not a small amount of compensation. "Things have gone smoothly," said Night Sorrow. "Not bad." The Three Suns' heavenly monarch has seen things clearly. He knows that the situation is irreversible. He participated in the realm war to obtain the reward of the origin of the realm. Now that the realm war is out of the question, protecting the region from now on is also a merit, said Datira. "There is no right or wrong in the first place. It's just that our goals are different. He is also a smart person. He knows when to retreat," said Night Sorrow. "This is good for everyone. After all, we have one less opponent." Datira nodded. After staying at the Qingyi Marquis residence for 2 days, Night Sorrow declined Lin Qingyi's invitation to stay. He left the residence with Datira and rushed back to the Blue Eagle Mountain. "Night Sorrow, what is your next target?" asked Datira. "The Fortune Gate. Bai Taesong's Fortune Gate." Night Sorrow said. Bai Taesong's Fortune Gate is very strong. Bai Taesong does not make a move easily, but most people acknowledge his strength. The Fortune Gate and the Zhongwu dynasty are allies. Unlike the Poison King's Valley and Martial God Palace, the Zhongwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate are allies of the same level. This is because Heavenly Monarch God whose strength is not a threat to Bai Taesong, said Datira. The last time I went to the Ice Dragon realm, people from the Fortune Gate chased after me. Their style of doing things is also ruthless. The time is not ripe to directly attack the Zhangwu dynasty. In that case, let's take down the Fortune Gate. Knight Sorrow said. Datira nodded. She had also commanded armies in battle in the past, so she knew that Knight Sorrow's strategy was correct. Knight Sorrow returned to the command tent on the Blue Eagle Mountain and gave the Heavenly Moon Pavilion storage rings to Jun Xuanji for him to distribute to the armies of the various forces. It was difficult for him to get resources for the various armies, so naturally he would not give them to the powerhouses. At this time, the spies returned one by one and reported the results of their investigation to Knight Sorrow. There is still the invincible monarch. This is my business. Aluo, I want to know how the world war in the outside world is decided. Knight Sorrow looked at Datira and asked. Divine Martial City. As long as we take down the Divine Martial City, we will win the world war. This is the judgment of the Heavenly Tao. The other thing is to kill until the other side is convinced. You know how difficult this is. Datira said. If we attack the Divine Martial City now, we might be able to take it down, but we will definitely suffer heavy losses. So, we can't be too hasty. Take down the Fortune Gate first. Fortune Gate? They actually dared to give it such a name. Knight Sorrow muttered in a low voice. Because they have treasures. The sect was named because of their treasures. Datira said. Speak. The fourth update has arrived. Today's update is complete. Chapter 1405. Datira then explained the situation of the Fortune Gate to Knight Sorrow. The Fortune Gate was not an established force in the Shimwu Great World. The Fortune Lord by Taesong was also a heavenly lord, but no one dared to look down on him. The reason why Bai Taesong was able to become a heavenly lord and establish a top force was because of a treasure, the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion was a treasure that surpassed the monarch weapon and could seize the fortune of the heavens. Because it could seize the fortune of the heavens, it was called the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. Is it an auxiliary treasure? Knight Sorrow asked. It's a defensive treasure, similar to your space-time pagoda, but it can seize the fortune of the heavens, so it's amazing. Datira said. We have to fight even if it's strong, but we have to be careful. Knight Sorrow said. With the Zhangwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate, we can't win the realm war, so we have to take care of them. Also, as you said, the realm war is not something that can be done in a day. We can't rush it. Datira said. She knew Knight Sorrow's ability, but she was worried that Knight Sorrow would be impatient. Don't worry, I know what's important and I won't act rashly. Let's take care of the average forces first, and take down the Zhangwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate last. I feel like I'm being suppressed. Knight Sorrow said. What suppression? Datira asked, puzzled. I can't say for sure, but it seems like it's a pressure from the soul and will. It should be the rejection of the Shimwu Great World. Knight Sorrow said. Datira looked at Knight Sorrow, then told Knight Sorrow some things about the Realm War. The Realm War was a fight for the fortune of the two worlds, which was also a fight for the heavens' favor. Not only did cultivators need fate and the heavenly Tao's blessing, but the spatial world also needed it. This would reduce the number of tribulations and extend the lifespan of the spatial world. The realm war between the Shimwu Great World and the Samsara Great World was a competition for fate. The winner would obtain the fate of both worlds. Knight Sorrow had represented the Samsara Great World in battle, and had dealt heavy damage to the Divine Martial Great World several times. Thus, the Divine Martial Great World's origin source had a relatively strong blessing of destiny. Naturally, the Divine Martial Great World's origin source could sense it. Sensing the threat and harm brought by Knight Sorrow, the origin of Shimwu Great World was naturally hostile to Knight Sorrow. So that's how it is. So be it. After knowing the reason, Knight Sorrow knew that he could only bear with it. Try activating the light of merit. The origin of the Great World can't surpass the Merit Saint. The origin of the Great World can't suppress the Merit Saint. That's a blasphemy to the heavenly Tao. Datira reminded Knight Sorrow. Night Sorrow tried to activate the energy of the golden body of merit in his body. The golden light of merit outside the divine sea in his head also emitted naturally. As Night Sorrow activated the light of merit, the suppression retreated and disappeared without a trace. It's really effective. Night Sorrow shrugged his shoulders. If you have strength and confidence, you have to show it. Whoever touches you after that will have to bear the consequences. The origin of the great world can suppress the merit saint. This is against the heavenly Tao. Datura snorted coldly. At this time in the Shenwu city, a man stood facing the wind on a mountain in the east. I provoked the merit saint. The battle of forces turned into a realm war. It's my mistake. In a mature spatial world, the origin of the great world had spiritual wisdom and could transform. This was the case in the Nine Clouds world and the Three Great Worlds. The world of Samsara had the Samsara Palace, the Black-Yellow Great World had the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth, and the Shenwu Great World also had the Shenwu Fighting Heaven, which was similar in nature to the Samsara Palace. When several forces in the Shenwu Great World declared war on the world of Samsara, the origin of Shenwu Great World thought that these forces were confident, so it launched a realm war in the name of the origin of the Great World. However, the result was beyond its expectation. It was a crushing defeat and lost the war in the world of Samsara. If the attack failed, it would not attack. The cessation of the realm war did not have a big impact on the Shenwu Great World. But now, the world of Samsara had already attacked. Look at the original chapter on the first page of the book. When the origin of the Shenwu Great World found that Night Sorrow was the commander of the allied forces, and there was still the origin of the world of Samsara in his body, it inadvertently suppressed him. When the origin of the Shenwu Great World found that Night Sorrow was the sage of merit, it hurriedly withdrew the inadvertent suppression. As the origin of the world, it was the master of the Shenwu Great World, but it could not touch the sage of merit, even if he was the meritorious person of the world of Samsara. Although it felt helpless, the origin of the Shenwu Great World understood that it could only let nature take its course. In the following years and months, its fate was far worse than that of the world of Samsara. Night Sorrow felt much more comfortable. Being suppressed was like a shackle on his body. It was very uncomfortable. Night Sorrow went to various legions and then walked around. After the realm war broke out, it was always a high-intensity battle, so the legion's ability to fight continuously was very important. When they saw Night Sorrow coming to check on them, all the sergeants who saw Night Sorrow bowed to salute him. First of all the sergeants had to respect his identity as the commander of the allied forces. Secondly, Night Sorrow's character and strength of character were respected. Night Sorrow really valued the sergeants. In order to increase the sergeants' chances of survival, Night Sorrow even put aside his face and asked for resources from the chiefs of various forces to increase the sergeants' chances of survival. After looking around, Night Sorrow found that although the legions had gone through several battles, their spirits were still very good. Xuanji, informed the city guards of the Qing Emperor's city to send some good wine over. Night Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji. When the legions went out to war, the city guards of various forces were responsible for supplying them. Night Sorrow returned to the tent and fell into deep thought. His current strength was enough to fight against a heaven overlord, but it was only limited to survival. If his main body was not in a state of enlightenment, he could go and refine the soul cultivation liquid now. Then his actual combat strength would increase greatly. However, to Night Sorrow, the most important thing was to increase his comprehension of willpower. The soul cultivation liquid could be refined at any time, but the opportunity to comprehend willpower was hard to come by. If he stopped now, he did not know when he would be able to enter a state of high-speed comprehension again. Night Sorrow would not do something like neglecting the essentials. Strengthening the soul was the foundation, but it could be done sooner or later. In addition, Night Sorrow's soul power was already very strong because his soul had been strengthened and repaired by the space-time pagoda. The perfection of the soul was very important. A cultivator's soul had flaws, and it could be said that everyone was like this. However, Night Sorrow's soul was perfect because it had been strengthened by the space-time pagoda. In this aspect, only Night Sorrow had this condition. The space-time pagoda belonged to Night Sorrow, and Xiao Kong only recognized Night Sorrow as its master. It only recognized Night Sorrow as its master. Other people could cultivate, but there was no special treatment. Artifact spirits were arrogant and only recognized their masters. This was a rule that no one could change. Night Sorrow was originally puzzled as to why the space-time pagoda was so strong that it could change the level of the soul. After knowing that it was a heavenly artifact, he understood that it was not strange for a heavenly artifact to have this ability. Speak. The first update has arrived. Chapter 1406. All this time, Night Sorrow had been using the space-time treasure pagoda when he wasn't in seclusion. However, there were some special treatments that others didn't have. Only Night Sorrow had the privilege of repairing and perfecting one's soul. As for time and space energy, Shao Kong was only using it for Night Sorrow. That was to say, others didn't have this privilege. When Jiyu family's Jiyu Fenglan wanted to advance his Earth attribute to space attribute, he couldn't get the help of the space-time treasure pagoda. He could only stay at the top of the space-time treasure pagoda and comprehend the laws of space when the space-time treasure pagoda absorbed the energy of heaven and earth. Recognition wasn't only needed between people. The recognition of a treasure's artifact spirit was also very important. The recognition of the world's origin was even more heaven-defying. What are you thinking about? Datira entered the tent. Nothing. I'm just wondering what the Fortune Gate's Immortal Fortune Pavilion is like. It can seize the fortune of heaven and earth. Night Sorrow said. I don't know the specifics of the Immortal Fortune Pavilion, because it's a secret of the Fortune Gate. Bai Taesong won't tell anyone, but it's definitely powerful. Datira said. Then if there's a chance, we can snatch it and study it slowly. Night Sorrow said. Haha. Sure, if there's a chance we'll snatch it. There's no need to be polite. Datira said with a smile. Yi Shang smiled and nodded. This idea was possible, but one could imagine the difficulty. The treasure of a heaven master magnate, the cornerstone treasure of a top force, was not easy to snatch. There was only one way to snatch it, and that was to kill Lord of Creation by Taiching. Night Sorrow came up with a plan. Spies would spread the news that some forces could withdraw from the World War. As long as they showed sincerity and announced that they wouldn't interfere in the World War, they could survive. If they were stubborn, then Martial God Palace and Poison King Valley would be examples. Night Sorrow wouldn't be lenient. First, intimidate. Divide. This was Night Sorrow's tactic, psychological warfare. Of course, this tactic wasn't effective in the early stages. If you don't have any battle records, who's afraid of you? However, things were different now. Martial Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley were both top forces. The fact that these two forces had been destroyed proved the strength of the reincarnation Great World. Night Sorrow's request was that if there were any forces that were willing to compromise and withdraw from the realm war, they would post a notice on the 4 gates of the main city and send people over. Half a month after the news was released, there were already 2 major powers that announced their withdrawal from the realm war, choosing to compromise. They were all major powers and their strength was only average. Hence, they were worried that the world of reincarnation would wipe them out with lightning speed. Right now everyone was worried about it. The negotiations were handled by Night Sorrow, Datira, and Sandalwood. It was mainly for the sake of safety. If there was a battle, Datira and Sandalwood would be able to hold on until the other heavyweights arrived. In addition, it wasn't that easy for anyone to set up an ambush. That was because Heaven Masters all had senses. It was very difficult to set up an ambush in advance, unless one's speed was especially fast. Just like how Night Sorrow brought people to the Martial Sacred Hall, they teleported out in an instant. However, Datira and Sandalwood weren't afraid. The first force to compromise was a family power. The head of the family was a Heaven Master. Because he didn't want his descendants to be sacrificed in the war, he had no choice but to compromise after receiving the news. After receiving 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones as compensation, and hearing the family heads vow to not participate in the realm war, Night Sorrow also made a promise to not attack this region. Other than that, Night Sorrow had another request. When the reincarnation Great World attacked the Divine Martial City in the future, this family power couldn't participate. After receiving a positive reply, Night Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood left. Very good, this tactic is not bad. Now we have one less opponent. Now that we have dealt with 4 forces, there are still 3 forces that are hesitating. The Zhongwu dynasty and Fortune Gate won't compromise. Night Sorrow said as they hurried. Martial Sacred Hall, Poison King Valley, Heavenly Moon Pavilion, and Lu Clan were the 4 forces that had decided to withdraw. If only these 2 forces were left, we could kill them by force. In fact, we already have the conditions to do so, but the losses would be great. Datura said. If we can win the war with a small price, there is no need to fight to the death. I won't tell anyone that the Heavenly Moon Pavilion is withdrawing from the Realm War, but smart people can see that the attitude of a force withdrawing from the Realm War is obvious. Therefore, it will affect the judgment of others. Night Sorrow said. Datura and Sandalwood nodded. This was human psychology. Following the trend was everyone's awareness. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow arranged for the Angry Lin Army's spies and secret guards to continue spreading the news and psychological attacks. After evenly dividing the resources and drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow sat down and cultivated, continuing to perfect his virtuous physique. The war was stable. Night Sorrow felt that the Shenwu Great World would be the first to fall. The Heaven Masters were also very calm. What was the situation? This was the situation now. The situation had opened up. This was the current situation. The Shenwu Great World was in chaos. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion's forces had all retreated to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's territory. The Lu clan, who had negotiated with Night Sorrow, also retreated. This was a signal. No one in the world was stupid. Naturally, they knew what was going on. Furthermore, many people knew that the Lu clan had posted notices on the 4 gates of the main city. Following that, another sect posted notices on the 4 gates of the main city. Night Sorrow went to negotiate with the Lu clan once again. To put it bluntly, he had accepted their surrender. Saying that he had reconciled was giving them face. Every cultivator cared about face. There were still 4 other sections. Other than the stubborn Divine Martial Dynasty and Fortune Gate, there were still some who were uncertain about the situation. Since they had not made a choice, Night Sorrow decided to force them to make a choice. Night Sorrow brought Summer City to a second-rate city in the territory of the Wolf King sect. He set up an illusion array and transmission array, then returned with the 9 Heavens Legion. He first destroyed the transmission array, then washed the city lord's manor with blood. He left a message that if they did not make a choice, they would not attack a second-rate city next time. They would directly destroy the main city. After the battle, Night Sorrow brought his forces back to the Blue Eagle Mountain. He used the Spirit Explosion Array to destroy the transmission array, making it so that the Wolf King sect did not know where their opponents were. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow calmed down. Night Sorrow brought people to kill. The other side is feeling very uncomfortable and forced to make a choice. Everyone knows that if they continue to resist, then Night Sorrow will kill them the next time. At that time, it will be too late to regret. Red Emperor said. This is the trend of the heavens. Night Sorrow is using this trend to suppress them. Do they submit? Do they not submit? Everyone knows the result. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. They bullied our reincarnation world. Now they are being bullied back. Precious Fragrance said with a smile. Wait and see. We will follow his arrangements. If he needs us, we will fight. Origin Dao Heavenly Lord said. Speak. Second update. Thank you old bro and Director P. Chapter 1407. After drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow arrived at the Sky Pillar Tycoon's tent. Here, this is good wine. Give me a pot. Li Tianba handed Night Sorrow a pot of wine. Yi Shang smiled, took it and took a sip. Is something wrong? Qing Emperor asked. I'm a little confused. I want to know if the Wolf King sect is waiting for us in the Shenwu Dynasty and Fortune Gate. I've sent people to scout for information. There's a connection between Heaven Masters and Heaven Masters, so they can't go. Even if sovereign kings and sovereigns go, they won't be able to find out anything. Yi Shang voiced out his dilemma. We can go. We have a way to seal our own aura. You know that. However, ambushes are useless for people at our level. At most, we can launch sneak attacks, pin them down and surround them, Emperor Qing said. Since that's the case, there's no need for backup. Knight Sorrow nodded. Panic. The Wolf King sect was in a state of panic. The Wolf King sect was also a peak force. If the world of reincarnation were to annihilate the Wolf King sect, they wouldn't be able to hold on. Ask for peace. The Wolf King sect posted notices on all 4 gates of the main city. However, Knight Sorrow didn't go immediately. Since they had posted the notice, they wouldn't attack for the time being. He would go later. After cultivating for a few days, Knight Sorrow brought Datura and Sandalwood to the Wolf King sect. At the same time, the other Sky Pillar tycoons were also nearby to prepare for war. In other words, if the Wolf King sect had an ambush, they would have to fight in advance. The world of reincarnation wasn't afraid of fighting in advance. At most, they would suffer some losses. The Wolf King sect's Heavenly Lord Wolf King had thought of asking Heavenly Lord Shen Hu to join forces and kill the people who came to negotiate with him. However, his eldest disciple, Zhen Yi, reminded him that if he joined forces with Heavenly Lord Shen Hu and the others, they might be able to fight against the world of reincarnation. Regardless of the result, it would be a disaster for the Wolf King sect. Even if the world of reincarnation suffered losses and their Sky Pillar tycoons died, it would be easy for them to destroy the Wolf King sect. Therefore, it would be safest to negotiate with the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Lu clan. In addition, Chani suggested joining forces with the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Lu clan to prevent the Zhongwu dynasty from causing trouble if they withdrew from the realm war. After all, withdrawing from the realm war meant abandoning them. The Zhongwu dynasty was domineering, and Chani was worried that the Zhongwu dynasty would cause trouble after the realm war. Knight Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood arrived. Heavenly Lord Wolf King and his eldest disciple, Zhen Yi, received them. According to Knight Sorrow's request, they took out the compensation for withdrawing from the realm war. The Heavenly Lord Wolf King swore an oath. Not only did he withdraw from the realm war, but Knight Sorrow also requested that the Wolf King sect would not interfere with the reincarnation world's attack on the Shenwu city. Although the Heavenly Lord Wolf King was unwilling, he still swore the Heavenly Tao Oath. After receiving the compensation and the Heavenly Lord Wolf King's promise, Knight Sorrow was very happy. Here, this is a gift for our visit. Please accept it. Knight Sorrow took out a jar of wine and left it for the Heavenly Lord Wolf King. Then he left with Datura and Sandalwood. After sending off Knight Sorrow and the other 2, the Heavenly Lord Wolf King stared at the wine on the table in a daze. 300,000 Saint Spirit stones and the Heavenly Tao Oath in exchange for a jar of wine. Master, you can't think of it this way. We did pay a price, but at least we survived. If they really wanted to kill us, the Wolf King sect would not be able to withstand it. The Battle God Palace and the Poison King Valley are examples. The survivor is king. The most important thing is that the Wolf King sect continues to stand strong, Zhen Yi said. The Heavenly Lord Wolf King nodded. He also understood that the reincarnation world's allied forces led by Knight Sorrow wanted to win. They did not want to kill at will. However, if anyone stood in their way, the reincarnation world's allied forces would not hesitate to kill them. You stay here. I will talk to the 3 Sons Lord of Heaven and the Nanhua Lord of Heaven. An alliance is necessary. Otherwise, if Lord God Hu comes looking for trouble, we will be alone, the Heavenly Lord Wolf King said. The Nanhua Lord of Heaven was the Lord of Heaven of the Lu clan. Knight Sorrow and the other 2 arrived at the place where the Qing Emperor and the others were waiting. Then the group returned to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Legit first Knight Sorrow said that everything went smoothly, and that he had received the compensation. You are always the one taking the risk. This time, you can keep the resources. Don't share it, the Heavenly Lord Yuandao said when he saw Knight Sorrow take out the storage ring. Yes. You were the one who came up with the strategy and took the risk. You should take some of the resources. Sima Tiancheng also agreed. Take it. The Qing Emperor nodded. Knight Sorrow smiled and accepted it. Then he explained the situation. Currently, there were 9 top forces in the reincarnation world. The Martial God Palace and the Poison King Valley had been eliminated. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion, the Liu clan, and the Wolf King sect had withdrawn from the realm war. The Zhongwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate would not compromise. They were the leading forces in the Shenwu Great World. Therefore, they would not withdraw from the realm war easily. They wanted to maintain their reputation. Other than the Zhongwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate, there were two other top forces that had not made a decision. They were the Hushi dynasty and the Tsongling manor. Knight Sorrow mentioned the Hushi dynasty. It was a dynasty that was affiliated to the Zhongwu dynasty. It was called the Hushi dynasty. One could tell which dynasty was more powerful from the name. The Hushi dynasty was an affiliated force, but it was very powerful. They were affiliated with the Zhongwu dynasty because they were no match for the Zhongwu dynasty. This force cannot be subdued or forced to retreat. We have to destroy it and break one of the claws of the Zhongwu dynasty. Knight Sorrow said, since we can't resolve it peacefully, we have to take it down. There's nothing to hesitate about. The Qing Emperor said, I think the Hushi dynasty will be prepared. Or rather, the Zhongwu dynasty will not let us succeed so easily. Knight Sorrow said, that's true. You think about how to deal with it. Then we can discuss it. The Qing Emperor said, actually the main purpose of taking care of the Hushi dynasty is to kill the Hushi Heavenly Lord. We will have one less giant. For us it will reduce the resistance of conquering the Shenwu city. Knight Sorrow said, Knight Sorrow, you have a point. When do we take action? Sima Tiancheng said, I plan to check out the Tsongling Manor's movements. At the same time, I plan to gather information about the Hushi dynasty. As long as we can confirm that the Hushi Heavenly Lord is in the Hushi dynasty, and that there are no traps, we will kill him. Knight Sorrow said. Everyone agreed with Knight Sorrow's idea. Knight Sorrow and Datura also set off. They wanted to check out the situation outside. After the two of them checked out the Tsongling Manor, they went to the Fortune Gate area near the Tsongling Manor. After taking care of the Tsongling Manor and the other two forces of the Hushi dynasty, their next target, Knight Sorrow, was set at the Fortune Gate. Knight Sorrow and Datura had both cultivated the leakless body. Their auras did not leak out, so they were not afraid of being detected. The two of them did not use the transmission array. Instead, they sneaked in through the city walls. Not long after they entered, Knight Sorrow stopped. His expression became very serious. What's wrong with Knight Sorrow? Datura asked, puzzled. There's an aura of the same origin as Little Kong. Knight Sorrow turned to Datura and said, Speak. Third watch. Chapter 1408. What's going on? Datura was a little confused. Knight Sorrow pulled Datura into a tea house and found a quiet private room. Then he used energy to set up a barrier. Then he explained the reason to Datura. Knight Sorrow had two spatial treasures in his body, the space-time treasure pagoda and the dragon cauldron. Moreover, they both had artifact spirits. The two artifact spirits were very familiar with each other. At this moment, the dragon cauldron in Knight Sorrow's clone told Knight Sorrow that it had sensed an aura of the same origin as Shao Kong. Knight Sorrow asked the dragon cauldron's artifact spirit to confirm again and again. The dragon cauldron told Knight Sorrow that it was correct. Although there was a slight difference in aura, the mysterious aura was correct. What's going on? Isn't your main body using the space-time treasure pagoda? Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. That's right. I can confirm that the space-time treasure pagoda is with my main body. What does this mean? It means that the missing part of the space-time treasure pagoda that I've been searching for is here, in Fortune City. Knight Sorrow was a little agitated because his train of thought in the profound heaven world was not right. Could it be the Fortune Immortal Pavilion? Datura also stood up. It's hard to say. I can confirm that the thing is here. Let's search for it first. If we can confirm what it is, it would be best if we can find it. Knight Sorrow said. There might be some heavenly Tao artifacts in the Great Thousand Worlds, but very few possess them. Currently, Knight Sorrow had only heard of them a few times. In the Heaven and Earth Pavilion of the Black-Yellow Great World, He heard the origin of the black-yellow great world say that there was a heavenly Tao artifact in the heaven and earth pavilion. However, countless years had passed and no one had been able to obtain it. Also, why was Heavenly Lord Shen Hu so strong? Why was he able to fight Datura, who had a high cultivation level, refined the soul cultivation liquid, and cultivated the not-leaking true body? It was because he had a heavenly Tao artifact, a soul defensive heavenly Tao artifact. The space-time pagoda was a divine artifact of the heavenly Tao, but it was damaged. Currently, it was only a support artifact. Night Sorrow naturally wanted to restore it. Night Sorrow and Datura slowly approached a certain direction under the guidance of the Dragon Cauldron's weapon spirit. After passing through the Fortune City's central district, Huang Xiaolong arrived at the eastern district. After walking for a while, Night Sorrow saw a wild garden. However, he stopped in his tracks. Night Sorrow discovered that there was a large array here, a very high-level array. In addition, the Dragon Cauldron could sense that the Qi was nearby, but because of the array, it was unable to determine the location. Even though Night Sorrow was unwilling, he knew that he could only retreat. The array could be broken, but it would cause a huge commotion, and it could only be done when the Fortune Gate was annihilated. Night Sorrow pulled the confused Datura away. The two of them left the area and returned to the tea house where they had been chatting. Why did you stop? That array can't stop you. We'll kill whoever tries to stop us. Datura said. It's not appropriate, that would alert the enemy. If the other side is alerted, it will be very troublesome. We can't act rashly, and if we do, we must kill with one strike. Night Sorrow said. Datura thought for a moment and nodded. She knew that they could not act rashly, because the missing part of the heavenly Tao artifact was too important. Everything here is in order. Looks like the Fortune Gate will fight to the end. The news we spread did not affect this place at all. Let's go back. There's no need to continue watching. Night Sorrow did not intend to stay any longer. His purpose in coming here was to see the Fortune Gate situation, and he had already seen it clearly. On top of that, he also had a big harvest. He had been searching for the missing part of the space-time pagoda for a long time. Night Sorrow and Datura did not take the transmission array, and instead, they left the city by the same route. The Bufang true body could conceal his presence from a distance, but it would not work if he was too close. Night Sorrow and Datura did not take the transmission array, because there was a high possibility that Bai Taesong's avatar was guarding the area around the transmission array, and there was a possibility that they would be discovered if they appeared. After leaving the Fortune City, Night Sorrow set up a transmission array in a secluded area. The two of them used the transmission array to return to the Blue Eagle Mountain, and arrived at Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and said, I really didn't expect to find something like this. You've been searching for so long, it's about time for you to appear. Actually, we can gather our forces and kill our way over to find the item. Datura said. She was an impatient person. No, the overall situation of the World War is very important. Let's wait for news from the River West Dynasty first. After dealing with the River West Dynasty, only the Tsongling Manor is left. You and I have both seen that the Tsongling Manor is in a mess right now. As long as we kill the River West King, the Tsongling Manor will collapse on its own, and only the Fortune Gate and the Zhongwu Dynasty will be left. Although Night Sorrow was very anxious, he still had the upper hand in his heart, and did not plan to search for the Fortune Gate immediately. Datura nodded. She was anxious for Night Sorrow, but she also understood that Night Sorrow's thoughts were right, and his decision was also correct. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Datura, and told Datura that when attacking the Fortune Gate, only their own people could do it. Otherwise, it would be difficult to distribute the spoils of war. He did not want to take advantage of the alliance, and he also had to put this matter on the table. We have enough people on our side to destroy the Fortune Gate. This matter can also be said clearly, because the Fortune Gate is destined to be yours. Don't bring this matter up in the future, or you will have a bad reputation. Datura said. Yes, the Heavenly Tao artifact is very important to everyone. Although those big shots are very rational, if they have any thoughts in their hearts, they will not be harmonious. Night Sorrow was also worried because this was not an ordinary material resource. Let's talk to them later. We can't let go of this matter. Datura said. All right, I will not ask the Alliance to help because this is my own matter. Night Sorrow stood up and led Datura to the big tent at the side of the camp. The two of you are back, have a cup of tea first. Heavenly Monarch Lu Xiang stood up and poured tea for Night Sorrow and Datura. Night Sorrow looked at the big shots in the tent and explained the situation of the Tsongling Manor and Fortune Gate. The Fortune Gate is also going, it is very dangerous. Qing Emperor's eyes were filled with worry because Fortune Gate Heavenly Monarch by Taesong was very strong and was different from West River Heavenly Monarch. The Fortune Gate is preparing for war, and they will not reconcile. Night Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. So what? If they can't reconcile, then kill. They are the ones who started the World War, so we will beat them until they are convinced. Li Tianba's words were very direct. There is another thing that I want to tell everyone here today. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands. What is it? Heavenly Monarch Yuan Dao nodded at Night Sorrow. The Heavenly Dao artifact that I have is incomplete, and everyone knows that. I found another part during this trip, and I will think of a way to get it back. This cannot be counted in the Alliance's resources, so I hope everyone can understand. Night Sorrow said directly. Then, Sandalwood looked at Night Sorrow and made a decision. As a senior brother, he would help Night Sorrow in battle. Speak. The fourth update has arrived. Today's update has been completed. Recently, my condition is not good, and I can only write one chapter after sitting in front of the computer for 4 to 5 hours. Please understand. Chapter 1409. Unseal. Don't worry, Master's wife and Master will also help you solve this problem. Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow, you're thinking too much. You have a part of the Heavenly Dao artifact, which means that you already have a fortuitous encounter. This time, you discovered something that was predestined. We won't have any other thoughts, and neither will I. When we fight, it's just a matter of convenience. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch said. That's right, you're thinking too much. You told us the truth, which means that you trust us. How can we betray your trust? Declare war on the Fortune Gate and solve this matter directly. We can do it at any time. Red Emperor nodded. Subsequently, everyone expressed their support. Then Night Sorrow won't be polite. After this matter is settled, there will be great rewards. Night Sorrow said. We have to work harder. After so many years, Night Sorrow already has the Heavenly Dao artifact, but we don't. Didn't Heavenly Monarch God Tiger have the Heavenly Dao artifact? Next time, don't let Datura fight alone. Let's go together, chop him up, snatch his Heavenly Dao artifact, and then draw lots. Whoever has the best luck will get the Heavenly Dao artifact. Li Tianba said while rubbing his hands. You've never had any good opinions, but this time I agree. Red Emperor said. Sure, we're all life forms from the world of reincarnation. Because we're about to win the World War, we're all blessed with luck. Maybe someone's luck has reached a critical point, and they have the luck to obtain the Heavenly Dao artifact. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. Everyone nodded. If there was a chance, everyone would try to grab it. If they couldn't grab it, then it was fine. If they could grab it, then their fates would change. Sima Tiancheng suggested drinking wine to celebrate. Although the Heavenly Dao artifact wasn't completely in their hands, it would be easy to take down the Fortune Gate with so many overlords. After celebrating, Night Sorrow returned to his tent, followed by Datura. Aluo, I feel that something is not right. You said that we are attacking one by one. The Shenwu Great World is very clear about this. Even if we are not united and are fighting for ourselves, the Zhongwu dynasty should not be so quiet. No, follow me. Night Sorrow had always felt that something was not right. Now he knew where the problem lay. Night Sorrow and Datura once again returned to the Sky Pillar Tycoon's tent. Night Sorrow, why are you back? Misty Rain asked. Master, you gave the order to close the transmission array in the Samsara city. Now they are passively being attacked in the Shenwu Great World. It is impossible for them not to take action. If they are determined to find our station, They will definitely find it. Not to mention the fortune teller. They can even turn it upside down. But they didn't do so. Of course, they are not willing to fight to the death with us. Then there may be another reason. That is, they may have taken action in the samsara world and forced us to drink. The realm war is over. Night Sorrow said his speculation. Yes, we have closed the transmission array in the Shimwu Great World. They don't have a transmission array in the samsara world, but they can use the transmission array in the Xuanhuan Great World. Datira's expression also changed. You guys talk first. I will go back and solve the problem. I will come back soon. Qing Emperor got up and left. This is my negligence. I hope it is not too late. Night Sorrow said. If the Shimwu Great World took action against the samsara world, it would be difficult to defend. Not to mention other things, even if a few sky pillars went to the samsara world to kill, the samsara world would not be able to withstand it. This is unexpected. Looking at the situation, maybe they did not have time to make such arrangements. Lord of Heaven Yuandao said. Night Sorrow nodded. He also hoped that this was the case. Recently it was quiet. The Shimwu Great World had been suppressed. It should not be like this. If it was him, he would also think of a strategy. Not good. Qing Emperor sent me a message. There is a battle. Misty Rain stood up. A battle? At this time, everyone in the command tent stood up and went to the transmission array. The transmission array teleported them to Black Demon City. After another turn, they arrived at Samsara City. The battle had already started in Samsara City. It was two sky pillars attacking the Qing Emperor. However, a square seal was hanging above the Qing Emperor's head. The square seal was emitting a green light, enveloping the Qing Emperor. The Qing Emperor was not at a disadvantage even though he was 1 against 2. Surround them and kill them. Night Sorrow shouted. These were two sky pillars. Night Sorrow recognized that one of them was Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven, the third emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty. He was the one who made things difficult for the Qing Emperor at the Zhantan wedding. With Night Sorrow's command and the fact that it was a war, no one was polite. They attacked directly. There was no problem in killing two sky pillars. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the two were killed. However, they were not completely dead. They were just doppelgangers. When I came back and was about to take the transmission crystal, these two guys rushed out. So the battle started. If I was a step late, these two guys would have run out and started killing everywhere. We would have been in a passive position. The Qing Emperor said with some relief. Very good indeed. You came in time. Not only did you solve the problem, you also made a big profit by killing the doppelgangers of two sky pillars. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. Fortunately, if they left the transmission array and hid, we would have been in a passive position. The advantage we gained earlier would have been gone. Night Sorrow said. Your reaction was very timely. If they really entered the samsara world and started killing, we could only compromise. Do you think we don't care about the lives of the people in the samsara world? None of us can do that. The world war would have ended without a conclusion. Sima Tiancheng said. Now that the world of reincarnation is stable, we can rest easy. This should be the clone of West River Heavenly Monarch. Although we didn't manage to kill their true bodies, we did manage to reduce their combat power. Now that the world of reincarnation is stable, we can focus all our energy on attacking them, said Yishan. Then Night Sorrow asked the guards of the transmission array. After confirming that there were no other people from the Shimwu Great World except for the Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven, he felt relieved. It's understandable that they wanted to come back when the situation was unclear. Now that the situation is tilted, they want to come back again. Why do we have to let them do what they want? Misty Rain snorted. She was angry that the two sky pillars were ganging up on the Qing Emperor. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Now, all the teleportation formations leading to the outside of Reincarnation Great World are closed. It's safe. We can fight outside without worry, said Yishang. Everyone nodded. They were glad that Night Sorrow reacted quickly. Otherwise, they would have been in a passive position. In addition, the battle may be intense. They intend to open up all over the samsara world and negotiate with us to end the world war. Now that we have lost the qualification to do so, we must fight. We have to be careful. Our military camp must be on high alert. They may already know our location. Night Sorrow said. Speak. First update. Chapter 1410. Unsealed. Yes. If they want to find it, they will definitely find it. So we have to be careful. Qing Emperor nodded. Not only did the reincarnation Great World have fortune tellers, but also the Shimwu Great World. It was possible for them to find out the general area through divination. I've thought about this. We didn't move because I thought that after we destroyed the Martial Sacred Hall and the Poison King Valley, they wouldn't fight us head-on. Now it seems that I was too optimistic. Let's go back. Even if we don't move, we have to set up a defensive array, Night Sorrow said. Then Night Sorrow and the rest teleported back to the Blue Eagle Mountain in the Shimwu Great World. Back at the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow started to set up the array. This time not only did Night Sorrow help, but Qing Emperor and Sima Tiancheng also helped. Both of them were advanced Heaven Adept Realm Array Masters. In a single day's time, the three great formations worked together, forming a horn formation, protecting the camp because they were worried that they would be caught off guard. Night Sorrow didn't dig a hole and activated the array directly. At this time, in the main hall of the Zhangwu dynasty, a few powerful figures were sitting. Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger's face was ugly because his avatar had been destroyed. Asterisk 3v asterisk his avatar had been destroyed, and it was equivalent to losing his life. Of course, he could continue to cultivate avatars with his original body around. However, nurturing an avatar of the Lord of Heaven level was very harmful to the soul. Besides, it couldn't be released in a short period of time. Nurturing an avatar of the Lord of Heaven level required a lot of energy. It was also very difficult to nurture it. Even if one had the comprehension of the realm, it would take a very long time because of the huge amount of energy required. Besides, the damage to the soul was also hard to recover. We were very unlucky. When we went out, we met Qing Shangjuan. Qing Shangjuan is the city lord of the reincarnation city, and has the city lord seal. West River Lord of Heaven, and I couldn't take him down instantly. In the end, he took the teleportation crystal on the teleportation array and informed his helpers. Lord of Heaven Fierce Flame recounted what had happened. We were unlucky. In the end, we were besieged by all their powerful figures. We couldn't even run. West River Lord of Heaven said with a pale face. The plan has failed. We can't use the safety of the world of Samsara as a bargaining chip to end this realm war. Now what do you think? Heaven Lord Shenhu, who was sitting on the main seat, said. At this moment, he was extremely frustrated. Even though his cultivation level was extremely high, he couldn't remain calm because the situation was out of his control. Big brother, from the looks of it, if nothing unexpected happens, we will lose this realm war, Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger said. In terms of the strength of our army, we are inferior to them. In terms of strength and numbers, we are also lacking. The situation is indeed very bad. Heaven Monarch Shenhu nodded. He had to admit the truth. Three Sons Heavenly Monarch, Nanhua Heavenly Monarch, and Wolf King Heavenly Monarch are all cowards. They surrendered without even fighting. West River Heavenly Monarch cursed. These weaklings are really hard to deal with. According to the information from the spies, the three of them have already formed an alliance. That is to say, if we use force now, they will join forces to fight us. Heavenly Lord Shun, whose sense of helplessness was very strong. For many years, he had been able to do whatever he wanted. However, this time, he was truly stumped. Big brother, let's see what Bai Taesong has to say. Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch glared and said. Normally, they did not like Bai Taesong. Bai Taesong also did not give the Zhangwu dynasty any face. Then I will go and take a look. Also, ask our people to withdraw from the Divine Martial City. If they can't do it, let them destroy the Divine Martial City and scram. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who stood up and disappeared in a flash. Second brother, what does Big Brother mean? Why should we withdraw from the Divine Martial City? Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch was puzzled. At this stage of the realm war, only the Fortune Gate, Songling Manor, and West River Dynasty are left. We are no longer able to fight against the reincarnation world. The outcome of the realm war is already decided. Blazing Flame Heavenly Monarch said. Although he was unwilling to admit it, it was the truth. Let's see what Bai Taesong has to say. If he is willing to fight with us, the situation will be better. After all, the reincarnation world is not willing to fight to the death. West River Heavenly Monarch said. Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch was angry, but it was useless to be angry. The situation was unforgiving. After Night Sorrow set up the defensive array, he continued to spread out the spies. Some were to gather information, and some were to be on guard. Night Sorrow was not afraid of a battle. He was not afraid of any battle. Whether it was the army or the powerhouses, the reincarnation world had the absolute advantage. Night Sorrow realized that the light of virtue in his body was getting stronger. He knew that it was because the realm war was going well. News kept coming back. Looking at the information, Night Sorrow was puzzled. The Zhangwu Dynasty and West River Dynasty had withdrawn from the Divine Martial City. As the two forces withdrew from the Divine Martial City, the Songling Manor also withdrew. Only the Fortune Gates people were still in the Divine Martial City. Otherwise, the Divine Martial City would be empty. Night Sorrow was puzzled. After thinking about it, he felt that the Zhangwu Dynasty had given up on the realm war after failing to launch a sneak attack on the reincarnation world. The West River Dynasty was in the same boat as them. Naturally, they would withdraw as well. Night Sorrow felt that it was better to discuss with the powerhouses and see what they thought. When they reached the large tent where the Sky Pillar was resting, Yishang informed them of his arrival. Seeing no hope, they gave up on the Divine Martial City. They want us to win the realm war and leave as soon as possible. They know that we can't occupy the Divine Martial City for long. Sima Tiancheng said. What do you all think? Night Sorrow asked. Your intentions are our intentions. The Crimson Emperor's attitude was very clear. Yuandao Heavenly Lord, and the others nodded. Since Night Sorrow was the commander, they would definitely support him. They can admit defeat, but they have to compensate us. If they don't, we will continue to fight. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. You can make the arrangements. Qing Emperor nodded. Then wait and see. When the time is right, we will attack. Do you think that Songling Manor is fine? Wishful thinking. We will observe their attitude for a few days. If the Songling Manor doesn't make a suitable statement, we will attack and wipe them out. Night Sorrow didn't like the Songling Manor's attitude. He wanted to play dead. If you want to fight, you have to compensate. What's the point now? If he let them go, Night Sorrow would feel sorry for the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Wolf King sect. Yes, we are the ones in charge. If they have the temper to start a realm war with the reincarnation world, they have to give us an explanation. Datura said. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you for unlocking the 4 chapters yesterday. Chapter 1411. Unseal. I understand. Let's observe the situation for the next few days. I've also sent spies to the River West Dynasty. We'll know when the West River Heavenly Monarch returns. If there's a chance, we'll eliminate him first. He's thinking too much about causing trouble in the world of reincarnation. Night Sorrow said. Yuandao Heavenly Monarch and the others nodded. They supported Night Sorrow's decision. After explaining everything, Night Sorrow left the tent and went to the barracks to take a look at the various legions. Seeing that everyone was in high spirits, Night Sorrow felt reassured. This kind of legion could be brought to the battlefield at any time. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who arrived at the Fortune Gate. Although Bai Taesong didn't welcome him, he still received him. This was because the upcoming situation required them to work together. After forming an alliance, Heavenly Monarch Shen, who returned to the Zhangwu Dynasty. We can only defend for now. West River Heavenly Monarch, it's hard to defend the River West Dynasty's territory. Bring the core members to the Martial War City and return after the storm passes. If there's any damage, the Zhangwu Dynasty will support the River West Dynasty's reconstruction. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who said. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who had no choice but to make this decision. The Zhongwu dynasty only had 3 heavenly monarchs. They wouldn't be able to withstand the attack of the world of reincarnation. Hence, he needed to recruit helpers. Alright. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who nodded. If the world of reincarnation attacked the River West dynasty, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Hence, Heavenly Monarch Shen, whose arrangement was suitable for him. After leaving the Zhongwu dynasty, Heavenly Monarch Shen, who arrived at River West City, and began to make arrangements. He didn't know that the moment he stepped out of the transmission array, he was discovered by the furious Lin Army's spies. The spies immediately reported to Night Sorrow. Battle! Night Sorrow arrived at the Sky Pillar's tent and shouted. A group of people sat on the transmission array that Night Sorrow set up outside River West City and set off. Night Sorrow had secretly set up transmission arrays around the Divine Martial City, Martial War City, Songling Manor, Fortune City, and River West City to ensure that the battle could take place at any time. Heavenly Monarch Lu Xiang and Mistress Lu Xiang, destroy the transmission array. Don't give Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu and the others a chance to help. The rest of you surround them. After exiting the transmission array, Night Sorrow made arrangements. The group of people flew towards the City Lord's residence. West River Heavenly Monarch had sensed the arrival of a few Heaven Masters through an opportunity. Thus, he rushed towards the teleportation array. However, by the time he arrived, he was already surrounded. What are you guys doing? Is it not enough to kill my avatar? With a loud roar, West River Heavenly Monarch crushed a messaging crystal. It was Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu's messaging crystal. It's useless to ask for help. Heavenly Monarch Yufei waved her sword and destroyed all the teleportation crystals on the teleportation array. Is it enough to kill your avatar? First, you shouldn't have followed the Zhongwu dynasty to declare war on the reincarnation world. Then, you went to the reincarnation world a second time. You deserve to die. Don't waste your breath. Kill. Night Sorrow gave the order. Since Sandalwood had made her move, the other Sky Pillars of reincarnation world were just spectators. As long as Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu doesn't run, no one was willing to surround him. 9 Genuine, Sandalwood was one of the top Sky Pillars of reincarnation world. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, who had just lost his avatar, was no match for her. Be it in terms of willpower or energy, he was completely suppressed. In just a few moments, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu was killed. Sandalwood tossed Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu's storage ring and weapons to Night Sorrow. Let's go. Loot the City Lord's residence. Let's go back and solve another problem. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with the outcome. After looting the resources of the City Lord's residence, Night Sorrow left with his men on the transmission array. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, and Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu stood motionless in front of the transmission array. The transmission crystal to River West City was black. It's too late. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu is probably dead. So be it. We've lost. This realm war is really a shame. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu went forward and took all the transmission crystals, leaving only the one connected to Fortune City. He then floated into the air and waved his arms continuously. He threw out Saint Spirit stones at the plaza near the City Lord's residence. As Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu threw out his energy surged in every corner of Battle Tiger City. The rolling energy enveloped Battle Tiger City. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu had no choice but to activate the Great City Barrier Array. Big brother! Is this it? Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu was unwilling to give up. His avatar had been killed. Third brother, we can't do this. None of their heavenly monarchs are dead. Look at the situation of our Shimwu Great World. Regardless of whether we admit it or not, we have lost. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu sighed. Third brother, given the current situation, big brother and second brother can't help you. We have to get through this first. There will be plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. As long as the Zhongwu dynasty doesn't fall, we can do whatever we want in the future. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu said. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu nodded. He had no choice in this situation. The news of the Zhongwu dynasty sealing the city spread quickly. The Songling Manor was in a mess. The manor lord, heavenly monarch Songling, was anxious. What was he going to do now that the Zhongwu dynasty had retreated? The martial war city was sealed because of the Zhongwu dynasty's countless years of accumulation. In addition, heavenly monarch Shen, who was half an overlord. Therefore, he had the ability to set up the great city barrier array. However, the Songling manor couldn't. After hesitating for a while, heavenly monarch Songling gritted his teeth and ordered the various city gates to post notices saying that they were willing to pay compensation and withdraw from the world war. Knight Sorrow knew that the Songling manor wouldn't be able to hold on if the martial war city was sealed. After receiving the news, Knight Sorrow greeted Qing Emperor and the rest. He decided to go to the Songling manor and take care of as many people as he could. Knight Sorrow didn't want anyone to follow him. He wasn't afraid of heavenly monarch Songling. However, Sandalwood and Datura still followed him. When the three of them arrived at the Songling manor, heavenly monarch Songling appeared. He cupped his hands and greeted the three of them before welcoming them into the manor. Commander Knight, the Songling manor has also decided to withdraw from this world war. We won't stop the reincarnation world from attacking the Shimwu city. Heavenly monarch Songling said. Stop them? Can you stop him? Sandalwood didn't stand on ceremony as she rebutted heaven monarch Songling. Haha, I have heard of the Blood Emperor's name. This is the 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones from the Songling manor as an apology for attacking the reincarnation world. Heavenly monarch Songling took out a storage ring and placed it on the table in front of Knight Sorrow. You are very well informed. However, the timing is not right. Is it okay for others to pay 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones? If the Songling manor doesn't pay 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones, then we will fight. Knight Sorrow said coldly. Why? Heavenly monarch Songling didn't understand. His face turned ugly. The timing is not right. You wanted to fight to the end. However, the Zhongwu dynasty sealed the city to protect themselves. You have no one to rely on. Therefore, you decided to withdraw. Now that you have no one to rely on, do I have to make all the decisions? Knight Sorrow's words became sharp. Speak. The third update has arrived. Chapter 14:12. Unseal. 600,000 is a little too much. Heavenly Lord Songling said bitterly. 700,000 then. Datura, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke up. I can't afford that. Heavenly Lord Songling looked at Datura in shock. Since you don't want face, how about 800,000 then? You can try to bargain. If you bargain one more time and lose 1 million Saint Spirit Stones, your Songling manor will be destroyed. Datura's words were filled with killing intent. She didn't want to waste any more words with Heavenly Lord Songling. Heavenly Lord Songling didn't say anything. He was far from being a match for Huang Xiaolong. Just say it. Are you going to pay me 800,000 or not? Datura asked coldly. If he didn't pay up, she would fight him directly. Here. Heavenly Lord Songling sighed when he saw the battle intent on Datura's body. He didn't have any room to bargain. If he said anything else, Datura would attack. Datura and Heavenly Lord Shen, who were evenly matched. He naturally couldn't afford to offend Datura. What made him angry was that he had to pay 200,000 Saint Spirit Stones for talking too much. Heavenly Lord Songling took out another storage ring and passed it to Knight Sorrow. After checking it, Knight Sorrow nodded and made Heavenly Lord Songling swear that he would no longer participate in the World War. Only then did he leave with Datura and Sandalwood and return to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Knight Sorrow heaved a sigh of relief after passing the storage ring to Jun Xuanji for him to distribute it to the various legions. Currently, only the Zhongwu dynasty and Fortune Gate are left to go against us. There's a total of 4 powerhouses, so the pressure isn't that great. That's right. We can start the final battle at any time. When do you plan to act? Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Long time x free q feezy % look / say. There's no hurry. The world war can't end prematurely. Once it ends, many things can't be done. The Zhongwu dynasty actually doesn't want to fight anymore. The fact that they sealed the city proves this point. Once we take down the divine martial city, the world war will end. If we continue to fight, we won't be righteous. Knight Sorrow said. When are we going to take down the fortune gate? The things Junior Brother needs are there. Sandalwood said. Sandalwood of Knight's matters. She cared about Knight Sorrow's matters. We'll make our move after we gather enough information. I feel that all the other forces have retreated except for the fortune gate, so they must have some kind of confidence, but I don't know what kind of confidence they have. Yishan shook his head. Datira and Sandalwood didn't say anything else. Knight Sorrow's analysis was reasonable. The fortune gate style was indeed more unyielding than the Zhongwu dynasty. The Zhongwu dynasty had sealed the city, but the fortune gate was still the same. All the other forces had retreated from the divine martial city, but they didn't. Confidence? Where did this confidence come from? Yishang was a little puzzled. If he couldn't figure it out, then he would wait. Yishang wasn't in a hurry either. At this time, in a large garden on the east side of Fortune City, Bai Taisong was sitting in the main seat, and below him were several old men. At this time, Bai Taiching was holding a wine glass in his hand and spinning it in his hand. Gate Master, everything is ready. As long as the reincarnation world's troops enter the divine martial city, we can start the battle. One of the old men said. He was the Fortune Gate's grand elder, Bai Taifeng. He was also the grandfather of Bai Yun, who had attacked Knight Sorrow in the Ice Dragon world. Good. All along, the Shenwu Great World had been dominated by the Zhongwu dynasty. This time, it will change completely. After we deal a heavy blow to the reincarnation world's allied forces, we will suppress the divine martial dynasty and become the #1 force in the Shenwu Great World. Bai Taisong drank the wine in his hand. At this time, Bai Taisong was wearing a golden armor called the Sky-Piercing Armor. It was obtained by Bai Taisong in the divine martial battling heaven. Its level surpassed that of a monarch artifact. It was an armor nurtured by the Shenwu Great World's origin. The weapon used by Knight Sorrow's clone in the Heaven Sealing Hall was made from the divine weapon chi of the 9 domains origin. The reincarnation artifact also advanced through the divine weapon chi. At that time, the 9 domains world's level was still relatively low. Therefore, it was nurtured by the king artifact. However, the Shenwu Great World was different. It was a treasure nurtured by the origin of the 9 domains world for countless years. Naturally, it was stronger. Knight Sorrow's reincarnation artifact had been nurtured in the divine sea while his main body was cultivating. It was already extremely sharp. The sky-piercing armor surpassed the top king artifact. It was a monarch artifact, but it was not a 9th grade monarch artifact. However, Bai Taisong had tested it himself. After he activated the sky-piercing armor, he could not break through its defense with his own weapons. Therefore, he was very confident. As for soul defense, he had cultivated a soul defense technique before. Therefore, he was very confident. Both his physical body and soul had an extremely strong defense, which could prevent a lot of damage. Moreover, he also had another defensive treasure, the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. After obtaining the sky-piercing armor, Bai Taisong had actually obtained the approval of the Shenwu Great World's origin. He could become the divine martial city's city lord at any time. However, he felt that the time was not ripe yet. Therefore, he did not provoke the heavenly monarch Shenhu. Although he was strong, the Zhongwu dynasty had 3 emperor lords. There was also the West River heavenly monarch who ran errands for them. If they fought to the death, it would not benefit the Fortune Gate. However, this time, Bai Taisong felt that the time was right. It was time for the Fortune Gate to rise and dominate the Shenwu Great World. Some of the methods that were originally prepared for the Zhongwu dynasty could now be used on the allied forces of the world of reincarnation. That was, he had set up a formation in the divine martial city. The formation had not been activated yet. It was the same in the Fortune City. There was also a killing formation. Both formations had not been activated. Bai Taisong would activate them wherever he felt that they were needed. The core of the formation was the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. In the Fortune Gate, and even in the entire Shenwu Great World, everyone only knew that Bai Taisong had a treasure. However, only Bai Taisong knew that he was helpless. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion had been by his side for a very long time. but it had never been able to recognize him as its master. It could only be used, but it could not be telepathically connected. This situation made Bai Taesung very confused. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion did not have a weapon spirit. It also did not have its own consciousness, but it rejected him. However, even if it could not recognize him as its master, it had still brought him great benefits. It had seized the fortune of heaven and earth, allowing him to cultivate from a saint king to a king, a monarch, and finally a giant. Looking at Bai Taesung in deep thought, Bai Taifeng and the others did not speak. After thinking for a while, Bai Taesung raised his head. You all get ready. If there is a situation, inform me immediately. Activate the formation. My defense is invincible. What can they do to me? Only I can kill them. Bai Taesung's face was filled with murderous intent. Knight Sorrow had been sorting out the news every day. He was very puzzled. What exactly did he miss? Why was Bai Taesung so confident? There must be something that he did not know. Therefore, he was not anxious. If he did not investigate anything, he would not take action. Now that the overall situation was in the world of reincarnation, he had nothing to be afraid of. Qing Emperor and the others all supported Knight Sorrow's steadiness. What they admired was Knight Sorrow's steadiness and the overall situation. Speak. The fourth update is here. Today's update is complete. Chapter 14-13. Unsealing expert. The leaders of the reincarnation world knew that the Fortune Gate had something that Knight Sorrow desperately needed. Even so what? Knight Sorrow was as steady as Mount Tai. He was waiting for the enemy to make a mistake. Many people in the Shenwu Great World didn't understand what was going on. They didn't know what the Fortune Gate and the reincarnation world's allied forces were up to. Based on the strength of the reincarnation world's allied forces, taking down the Fortune Gate and Divine Martial City would be as easy as flipping a hand. The Fortune Gate side was also very strange. Their way of doing things was hard to understand. The Fortune Gate was very strong, but it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot from the reincarnation world's allied forces. Even so, the Fortune Gate stood firm. In the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch was talking to Lin Qingyi. He was asking about the situation of the captives in the reincarnation world. Qingyi, since you've taken over the captives, you have to manage them well. If they revolt, the reincarnation world will blame it on us. We have an undeniable responsibility. The Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch said. Lin Qingyi nodded. Master, I understand. The captives in the reincarnation world are closely related to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. If they cause trouble, I'll be blamed. That's the same as dragging the Heavenly Moon Pavilion down. I know that some of them have avatars that will be affected by the Shenwu Great World. They might revolt. That's why I've invited 2 legions from the reincarnation world to surround the captives' camp. Whoever dares to cause trouble will only have themselves to blame. You're very insightful. The waters in the Shenwu Great World are still very murky. If you're not careful, you might be consigned to eternal damnation. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who is usually noisy, but the one who hides the deepest is Bai Taesung. However, Knight Sorrow of the reincarnation world isn't someone to be trifled with either. There will be an intense battle coming up, the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch said. Is Bai Taesung that powerful? Lin Qingyi asked in surprise. Yes, I suspect that he obtained great benefits in the Divine Martial Battle Hall. Back then, there was a battle armor in the Divine Martial Battle Hall, and many big shots went in to try it out. Back then, I went there as well. After I failed, Bai Taesung went. After that, I coincidentally made a breakthrough and planned to try again. However, the armor had already been cleared and taken away by someone. That person is most likely Bai Taesung, said the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch. That is to say, Bai Taesung's actual combat strength is even stronger than Heaven Lord Shenhu? Lin Qingyi's eyes were filled with astonishment. For countless years, Lord of Heaven Shenhu had been known as the #1 expert in Shenwu Great World. Heavenly Monarch Shenhu is the City Lord of Divine Martial City. Does he have the City Lord seal? No, Bai Taesung doesn't reveal himself. He might be the person who has the City Lord seal of Divine Martial City. Of course, this is just my guess, said the three sons' heavenly monarch. Master's guess is very likely to be true. If not, Bai Taesung wouldn't be so confident. It seems that the realm war in the world of reincarnation won't be so easy to win, said Lin Qingyi. It's hard to say. Everyone has their own trump cards. If you underestimate anyone, you will be the one at a disadvantage. Perhaps Bai Taesung is strong and has been hiding for many years to explode. However, the world of reincarnation has already been established. It won't be that easy to break through. Bai Taesung is also a despicable person. If he had the ability, he would have stood up earlier and led the Shinwu Great World to fight against the world of reincarnation. Perhaps the realm war would have been stabilized, but what about him? In pursuit of personal fame, he wants to turn the tide. It's hard to say what the outcome will be. The three sons' heavenly monarch laughed coldly. He was one of the few people who knew about Bai Taesung. Let's wait and see who is the most ruthless. However, I still think that Knight Sorrow has a higher chance of winning. The others are the commanders of the world of reincarnation's allied forces. It's hard to say what the outcome will be because the origin of the Shinwu Great World will affect them. However, Knight Sorrow is a virtuous sage. The origin of the world can't just bully him, right? The origin of the world would rather lose the realm war than go against the heavenly Tao, said Lin Qingyi. That's the logic. Let's just wait and see. If we form an alliance with the Wolf King sect and the Lu family, we will be able to stabilize the situation. I think that Songling Villa will make the same choice. No matter who has the upper hand, we don't care. My goal is to keep this place safe, said the three sons' heavenly monarch. Lin Qingyi nodded her head. She had followed the three sons' heavenly monarch for many years and understood him well. The three sons' heavenly monarch didn't like to fight for power or fame. This time he had only participated in the realm war because the origin of the Shinwu Great World had called for him. However, he ended up in a quagmire, and it was difficult for him to extricate himself from it. The Shinwu Great World had stabilized, and some of the powers had also stabilized. However, the atmosphere was still tense. The Divine Martial City and Fortune City were filled with killing intent. Everyone knew that the world of reincarnation's allied forces and the Fortune Gate were about to go all out. This made many people puzzled. However, no one was a fool. They all knew that the Fortune Gate must have some kind of trump card that could resist the world of reincarnation's allied forces. At the same time, many people were cursing. If the Fortune Gate had the ability, why didn't you come out earlier? You waited until the other powers were either destroyed or forced to retreat before coming out. Go. However, Bai Taesung didn't care. He sat in the Divine Martial City and waited for the world of reincarnation to attack. Knight Sorrow placed his spies in the Divine Martial City and Fortune City. He wanted to find out what was going on. As long as he could win the realm war, Knight Sorrow felt that time wasn't a problem. A month later, a member of the secret guards found some clues. He found traces of an array foundation in the Divine Martial City. In other words, he found an energy point. The array hadn't been activated yet. Knight Sorrow understood that Bai Taesung had set up a huge trap for the world of reincarnation's allied forces to jump into. The power of an array formation was unpredictable. No one dared to say what kind of power it could unleash. Knight Sorrow made a decision to break the array formation before it was activated. He wanted to break it silently. Knight Sorrow told the Qing Emperor and the others about his idea. Then the Qing Emperor and Sandal followed Knight Sorrow. The Qing Emperor was very skilled in array formations. He could help Knight Sorrow solve some problems with the array formation. Sandal could help protect him. Sima Tiancheng was also a high-level Heavenly Master Realm Array Master. However, he didn't cultivate the leakless true body. He couldn't hide his aura and would be detected in advance. When they reached the periphery of the Divine Martial City, Knight Sorrow and the Qing Emperor checked a few areas. They sensed the energy hidden underground. It's the Great Chaotic Heaven Array. It's mainly used for killing. The Qing Emperor looked at Knight Sorrow and said, I also feel that the killing aura of the array formation is very strong. Master, can we change the structure of the array formation without triggering it, and make Bai Taesung's plan fail? Knight Sorrow asked. He didn't understand the Great Chaotic Heaven Array that the Qing Emperor mentioned. It's a big project. However, we have time. We can slowly break this array formation. By then he will have one less trump card. The Qing Emperor said. Then, under the guidance of the Qing Emperor, Knight Sorrow followed the Qing Emperor. The two of them started to break the array. All of this happened without anyone noticing. Speak. First watch. Chapter 14:14. Unseal. Knight Sorrow. I don't think this is his only trump card. Other than the formation, he might have something else up his sleeve, so we have to be careful. The Qing Emperor reminded Knight Sorrow. Master, disciple will be careful. I won't underestimate anyone. Anyone who can cultivate to the level of a sky pillar is smart enough. If he dares to go against us, he must have some tricks up his sleeve that we don't know about. Therefore, even if disciple knows that a part of the Haotian divine pagoda is in his hands, I will still endure, said Yishang. As long as you can hold on, I can rest assured. The current situation is in our favor. Some forces have been sworn to not act recklessly before the end of the realm war. So we can play it safe, Emperor Qing said. Knight Sorrow nodded. This was the main reason why he could stay calm. In the Xinwu Great World, only the godly Tiger Dynasty and the Fortune Gate could go against the Reincarnation World's allied forces. In terms of strength, the Reincarnation World had the upper hand. The rest was a battle of wits, tactics, and strategies. Now that they had uncovered the Fortune Gate's trump card, there would be one less dangerous factor. Although it took a lot of effort to set up and break the formation, there were few concerns. However, it was difficult to change the structure of the formation. They had to be careful. It took Knight Sorrow and the Qing Emperor almost a month to change the chaotic heaven formation in the Xinwu city into the 9 Serenities slaughtering god formation that Knight Sorrow and the Qing Emperor were familiar with. When changing the layout of the formation, Knight Sorrow and the Qing Emperor had many tricks up their sleeves. They changed the foundation of the previous chaotic heaven formation to that of the 9 Serenities slaughtering god formation. Even the energy traction was changed. According to the previous activation method of the chaotic heaven formation, it would not be activated and there would be no reaction. After changing the structure of the formation, Knight Sorrow and the Qing Emperor specially set up a formation door. Only the formation door in a specific area could activate the 9 Serenities slaughtering god formation. This was to prevent it from being activated randomly. Forever? Long time %free plus VX/look D. After everything was settled, Knight Sorrow told Qing Emperor about his plans to visit Fortune City. Both the Divine Martial City and Fortune City were not in a defensive state. Since the Divine Martial City had a protective array, then the Fortune City should also have a protective array. When Huang Xiaolong arrived at Fortune City, he did some research. Just as Knight Sorrow had predicted, there were also formations that had yet to be activated. Then Knight Sorrow and Qing Emperor began to change the array. During his free time, Knight Sorrow went to the east side of Fortune City to check out the 8 Dragon Cauldrons location. Master, do you think this variable is the Fortune Immortal Pavilion? Disciple paid attention to the wild garden. And it was the same as Uncle Xian Daozi's divination. The only difference was that there was no starlight during the day, and the surrounding spirit chi was lacking. It should be because the Immortal Fortune Pavilion absorbed the spirit chi when it was operating, Knight Sorrow said. I don't know how powerful the Heavenly Dao artifact is, but every Heavenly Dao artifact has unparalleled power. Why is Heavenly Monarch Shenhu so strong? Because his soul defense is unshakable. When magnate-level cultivators fight, their ultimate arts affect the soul. If they can't affect the soul, it's hard to kill them, Qing Emperor said. He didn't have the Heavenly Dao artifact, so some things were just guesses. If the variable is from the Fortune Immortal Pavilion, then when disciple wakes up from his enlightenment, I can fight with the pagoda of time and space. Since we're of the same origin, I might be able to restrain it. At the very least, I can interfere with the Fortune Immortal Pavilion's power, Knight Sorrow said. This line of thinking is correct, but your enlightenment cannot be delayed. That's your future. Qing Emperor said. He was concerned about the realm war, but he was also concerned about his disciple's future. In his heart, Knight Sorrow was going to enter the heaven pillar level, and nothing could be delayed. Master, when disciple cultivates in the pagoda of time and space, time is 20 times faster. The enlightenment won't last for too long. Even if it takes 10 years, it's only half a year in the real world, Night Sorrow said. Enlightenment was hard to come by, and cultivators hoped to enter it the most. Every enlightenment would be accompanied by a rapid increase in strength. Yi Shan's epiphany had been going on for quite some time, and it wasn't something that could be sustained continuously. A moment of enlightenment could be as short as an instant, and as long as 3 to 5 years. How could enlightenment last for a long time? When you're done with your enlightenment, bring the pagoda of time and space over. With your current strength, you can protect yourself. I'm not worried about that, Qing Emperor said with a smile. His disciple wasn't a magnate, but he had the strength of a magnate. He was very proud, and he was even looking forward to seeing what Night Sorrow would be like when he entered the magnate level. His eldest disciple, Zhan Tan, had just entered the Heaven Monarch realm, but she already had the strength of a top-notch Heaven Monarch. Qing Emperor estimated that when his youngest disciple entered the Heaven Monarch realm, he would be invincible in the world. Master, you don't have to worry about junior brother's strength. Even his doppelganger can fight against a magnate. If he and his doppelganger fight together, it will be very difficult for anyone to hurt him, Zhan Tan said with a smile. Yes, your junior brother has the world's origin energy to protect his soul. He also specializes in cultivating his body, and has an impenetrable body. No one can hurt him just because they want to. Qing Emperor nodded. Senior brother, we want to fight side by side. When we take care of Heaven Lord Zhao Hua, let's fight together, Night Sorrow said. All right, it's settled then. We'll let the world know of our strength. Let's see who dares to go against our Qing Emperor's dynasty in the future. We'll kill anyone who goes against us, Zhan Tan said. Ah, the two of you are Master's pride. Who in the world can be as good as Master? Qing Emperor laughed heartily when he saw the pride of his two disciples. After the three of them drank some wine, they continued to work. After half a month, Yi Shang and the Azure Emperor had also solved the Fortune City's array formation. They could activate it at any time. After doing all this, the three returned to the encampment in Blue Eagle Mountain. When the other Heaven Masters heard that Night Sorrow and Qing Emperor had fixed the Divine Martial City and Fortune City's array formations, they were very excited. Li Tianba even wanted to go out and fight. Brother Qing, I suspect that Bai Taisong has more than these two array formations. He might have other tricks up his sleeve, Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Yes, so we can't be impulsive for now. Qing Emperor nodded. Night Sorrow, what do you think? Yuandao Heavenly Lord looked at Night Sorrow. Bai Taisong has the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. Everyone knows this, but no one knows the power of the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. I have the other part of the Haotian God's Pagoda, which is the Space-Time Pagoda. According to my deduction, the defensive power of the Space-Time Pagoda alone is terrifying. It might also have other functions. Therefore, I plan to wait for my main body to come out of seclusion and bring the Space-Time Pagoda to fight. We can use the Space-Time Pagoda to restrain his Fortune Immortal Pavilion. That will be the time for us to attack. No matter who it is, we can't know all their tricks. If we have a chance of winning, we can attack. Night Sorrow said. There's no 100% chance of winning a war. If you think it's possible, then let's fight. No matter what decision you make, I'll support you to the end. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. My main body's enlightenment is about to end. If my space-time pagoda can't restrain his Fortune Immortal Pavilion, I'll kill him even if I have to destroy the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. Night Sorrow's battle intent soared as he spoke. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 14-15. Battle Intent Aura. Night Sorrow, this is Battle Intent Aura, not Killing Intent. Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Night Sorrow withdrew his aura. Regarding aura, many people have cultivated it before, but most of them are Killing Intent Aura. Your pure Battle Intent Aura without Killing Intent is very rare. Sima Tiancheng said. The other big shots also nodded. When many people comprehended attribute willpower, they also comprehended sword and blade willpower, but it had nothing to do with aura. Many people wanted to comprehend aura, because it was rumored that the control of the aura of the heavenly Tao was the gateway to the 9th rank. Night Sorrow's battle intent had already formed aura. Night Sorrow, you have a part of the heavenly Tao artifact, so you should know that the defense of the heavenly Tao artifact is very terrifying. It will be very difficult to break through its defense. Origin Tao Heavenly Lord said. I have the origin spirit, but it's just an incomplete heavenly Tao artifact. It can be broken. Night Sorrow said. Origin spirit. Night Sorrow's reincarnation was the origin spirit. Reincarnation had been nourished by the 9 domains origin spirit. Although it was a king's weapon, it was a weapon with the origin spirit. In the early stages, it had been baptized by the 9 domains origin spirit. In addition, it had been nourished by his own divine sea's soul force. Night Sorrow's reincarnation's attack power had reached an unimaginable level. Of course, the strength of the owner was also one of the factors that determined the strength of the attack. Everyone in the tent looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise because this was a trump card that Night Sorrow had never shown before. All along, Night Sorrow had only used his clone to fight. Very few people knew the strength of his main body. Night Sorrow, your clone was able to remain undefeated in front of the big shot Datura Chinensis. Your main body is stronger. You should have the title of Heavenly Lord, or even Emperor. Sima Tiancheng said. Palace Lord, you're exaggerating. My original body is still in the midst of enlightenment. It will take some time for me to come out of seclusion. Night Sorrow clasped his hands towards everyone in the tent. It was only right for him to contribute to the realm war. He should sacrifice himself for the greater good. Night Sorrow felt that it was a little selfish to make everyone wait. It's not like we're in a crisis right now. Your future is also very important. In the world of cultivators, no one was willing to see powerful cultivators appear because they were a threat. However, you are a merit saint and a cultivator from the world of reincarnation. I am willing to see the cultivators from the world of reincarnation dominate the world. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Night Sorrow nodded. The origin Tao Heavenly Monarch had the demeanor of an elder. The stability of the reincarnation great world requires everyone to maintain it. It also requires true experts to hold the fort. We are not strong enough now. Perhaps you will be able to do so in the future. Yuandao Heavenly Lord spoke again. Now that most of the forces in the reincarnation great world are here, let's talk about how to deal with the celestial sect. They are ultimately a black sheep and an unstable factor. The Red Emperor said. About this, all of you can discuss it. More than half of you feel that we should go to war, and I support that. Night Sorrow also feels that we should go to war, and I support that as well. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Everyone else nodded. Yuandao Heavenly Lord was expressing his trust. Why did he trust him? Because Night Sorrow was a merit saint. He wouldn't do things that went against his conscience. Every decision he made was based on the overall situation. Everyone was waiting. Bai Taesong was waiting for the reincarnation great world to attack, but the reincarnation great world's allied forces were also waiting. They were waiting for Night Sorrow to come out of seclusion. In the blink of an eye, for months had passed. Many forces couldn't see the situation clearly. For example, the Wolf King sect and the Tsongling Manor. No matter how strong the Fortune Gate was, the reincarnation great world's allied forces were suppressing them. However, the reincarnation great world's allied forces didn't move. However, the Three Sons Heavenly Lord had a different point of view. Master, what do you think the reincarnation great world's allied forces are doing? If they go to war, won't they win the world war? Lin Qingyi was a little confused. According to her impression of Night Sorrow, this wasn't how he was supposed to be. If they go to war right away, it won't be easy to determine the outcome. However, as time passes, the reincarnation great world's chances of winning will increase. You have to know that in terms of strength, the reincarnation great world's allied forces are suppressing them. Bai Taesong is definitely relying on some devious arts. However, these devious arts are only temporary. As the commander of the reincarnation great world, If Night Sorrow can stabilize the situation, then Bai Taesong's devious arts might be ineffective, the Three Suns' Heavenly Lord said. It seems like this Night Sorrow isn't simple. The Shinwu Great World's captives in the Reincarnation Great World rioted under the instigation of the Fortune Gate's captives. In the end, all the Fortune Gate's members were killed. That's quite ruthless, Lin Qingyi said. The Reincarnation Great World made the right choice in choosing him as their commander. He has both conciliatory and ruthless methods. Bai Taesong has gone overboard. If he had stood up from the start, perhaps things wouldn't have turned out this way. The Three Suns' Heavenly Lord snorted coldly. He was extremely dissatisfied in his heart. 2 months ago, outside the Reincarnation Great World's Black Fiend City, the Shinwu Great World's captives rebelled. The Green Qilin Legion, Green Phoenix Legion, and Chiwa Legion that were stationed outside the city surrounded the captives. When Night Sorrow received the news, he led the furious Qilin Legion back and directly killed the captives. King forever watch for free. Because of the instigation of the Fortune Gate's members, Night Sorrow didn't spare a single one of the Fortune Gate's members. Night Sorrow then asked Lin Qingyi to gather all the captives together. I'm very sorry. It was my mistake. I saved their lives, but I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Lin Qingyi looked at Night Sorrow apologetically. Your intentions were good. You were able to inform our legion in time. You've done well. All of you, listen up. The reason why I didn't kill you was because I, Night Sorrow, didn't want to kill too many people. However, if you cross my bottom line, I don't mind killing you. Senior Brother Green Qilin Chiwa, you two guard this place. If anyone dares to cause trouble, kill them on sight. Night Sorrow instructed. After dealing with the rebellion, Night Sorrow's clone stayed on the Blue Eagle Mountain. Sometimes he would go out for a walk. He was waiting for his main body to wake up from his meditation, so that he could start the battle. On the other hand, the development of the situation was very unfavorable for the Fortune Gate. The various forces of the Shinwu Great World retreated from the Divine Martial City. It wasn't that they didn't want their foundations, but that they had withdrawn their battle forces. It was to express their attitude that they wouldn't stop the Reincarnation Great World from attacking the Divine Martial City. Now that only the Fortune Gate's battle forces were in the Divine Martial City, they were naturally arrogant and despotic. Even if it wasn't by Taesong's intention, the Fortune Gate's disciples would still do so. The Fortune Gate's arrogance attracted the dissatisfaction of the various forces. These forces informed Night Sorrow that they wouldn't stop the Reincarnation Great World from attacking the Divine Martial City. After that, their battle forces once again entered the Divine Martial City and clashed with the Fortune Gate's members. The Fortune Gate's actions were nothing in Night Sorrow's eyes, but in the eyes of the Shinwu Great World's forces, it was very annoying. Night Sorrow was very happy to see such a situation. The Fortune Gate was in trouble, so Bai Taesong had to step in to solve it. It was impossible to solve it by force. Many forces had already formed an alliance. How could Bai Taesong kill them? Regardless of whether he could kill them or not, he would definitely expose his trump card. Speak. The third update has arrived. Chapter 14-16. This situation infuriated Bai Taesong greatly. He couldn't start a real war. If he didn't start a war, who could he intimidate? Who would give him face? The furious Bai Taesong could only restrain himself. He could only mobilize some of the Fortune City's troops to stabilize the situation. Whether it was the Fortune Gate or other forces that were unwilling to engage in a large-scale war, the matter of fighting for territory continued to happen. Generally speaking, there was a set of rules and regulations in the Divine Martial City, but after the destruction of the Martial God Temple and Poison King's Valley, many territories were empty. This was the root cause of the chaos. Everyone wanted territory, so competition was inevitable. Night Sorrow smiled when he received the news from his spy. This situation was exactly what he wanted. Chaos. The more chaotic, the better. Every day, Night Sorrow would meditate and cultivate. He could feel that his soul had changed greatly. It was a change that had occurred after he had been baptized by the power of reincarnation in the Yellow Springs River. He had become much more agile, and could even be improved. He was no longer restricted by his original body. This was a good thing. Night Sorrow felt that this would increase his clone's strength. A cultivator's clone was restricted by the main body. This was the law of heaven and earth, and it would never change. Night Sorrow's situation wouldn't change this law, but it was a fact that his clone's strength was slightly stronger. Night Sorrow left the Blue Eagle Mountain and went to the Divine Martial City and Fortune City to take a look. He was worried that Bai Taesung had discovered the changes in the formation. In fact, after leaving the matter of the formation to Bai Taesung and the others, Bai Taesung didn't ask about it anymore. After checking the formation, Night Sorrow went to check the Fortune Immortal Pavilion's aura. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow went to the God-slaying team's encampment to take a look. Latest news. Chapter 2. At this time, Datura came to Night Sorrow's side. You're running around again. Next time when you go out, call me. Don't you know it's dangerous? Night Sorrow laughed. Aluo, I'm not a rookie. I won't be killed by anyone. It's just that it won't be easy to hurt me. You might be right, but I'm worried about you going to Bai Taesung's territory. That Bai Taesung has been hiding all this time. It's obvious that he's a vicious person. Who knows what tricks he has up his sleeve? If he finds out about you, he will attack you at all costs, Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. I don't want my main body to wake up right now, but I also want it to. At this moment, Night Sorrow was in a dilemma. If his main body didn't wake up, his strength would continue to increase. However, if he didn't wake up, he wouldn't be able to fight. I can understand what you're thinking. Let nature take its course. You've been in an epiphany for some time, right? Datura asked. It's been 4 months in the real world. It's been 7 years in the time acceleration. It's been a long time, Night Sorrow said. 7 years. If you've been in an epiphany for 7 years, your cultivation of will increase greatly, Datura said. I don't know. When my main body is in an epiphany, my soul is sealed. I can't communicate with my doppelganger. I can only wake up when I'm in an epiphany, Night Sorrow said. I'm looking forward to it. Every time the will of the heavens increases in the monarch realm, there will be some increase in power. In these 7 years, your will should have deepened a lot. If you're lucky, you might become a mid-level monarch, Datura said with a smile. Maybe. In principle, the reincarnation world's origin is insistent. However, it's really helpful in my comprehension of will. The display of will is very strong, and it's in various forms. It's very helpful for my comprehension, Night Sorrow said. He knew some things. You're a merit saint. This has an impact on the origin of the world. Moreover, after you appeared, you brought many benefits to the reincarnation world. After you appeared, the reincarnation world became stable, Datura said. But after I appeared, I went through a lot of killing. Many people died. Night Sorrow shook his head. There were a few wars. However, in fact, those were all twists and turns on the road of development. If a big tree wants to grow smoothly, the crooked branches have to be cut off. No matter what you go through, as long as your starting point is right, there's nothing wrong. Sometimes, killing is a way to benefit the world, Datura said. Actually, I didn't think too much about it. I just did what I was supposed to do. However, along the way, my foundation of virtue has grown stronger and stronger, Yishan said with a smile. He felt that he was very lucky. Now you're still lacking a little because you're only a merit saint in the reincarnation world. When you become a merit saint, you'll be a merit saint in the world, Datura said with a smile. As a woman, she naturally wanted to see her husband achieve success. Furthermore, Night Sorrow's achievements had come in an upright and majestic manner. Night Sorrow nodded. There was a watershed between the merit saint and the merit saint. It was like the watershed between the Sage King and the King. Taking this step was breaking through the rules. From the Sage King realm to the King realm, the rules of heaven and earth were the lifespan limit. From the merit saint to the merit saint, the rules of heaven and earth were the rules of the world. No matter which world the merit saint went to, the merit effect would exist. Because the power of merit was profound, it was recognized by the heavenly way. Whether it was in a small world or a group of worlds, it was not easy to accumulate merit to become a merit saint. The righteousness of one's heart was confirmed and tempered. Therefore, the heavenly way would recognize it. After chatting with Datura for a while, Knight Sorrow's state of mind calmed down a lot. The Shimwu Great World was chaotic, so he would observe the situation. If it was really necessary to fight, he would shake the soul of his doppelganger, and let his main body wake up to participate in the battle. Time passed steadily. During this time, Wu Lingfei, Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, Yang Lei Shueshi, and the others all came to see Knight Sorrow. They were worried about Knight Sorrow, but Knight Sorrow did not let them stay in the Shimwu Great World, because it was not safe enough. One day in the 6th month, when Knight Sorrow was making tea, the aura on his body changed. The space-time will around him was very strong, and the purple halo on his body was also rippling. This made Jun Xuanji, who was sorting out the information in the tent, change his expression drastically. He quickly retreated because the suppression was too strong. Knight Sorrow closed his eyes and felt the situation in his body. The will of nothingness was 94%, which was just enough to enter the intermediate monarch rank. If the will of nothingness entering the intermediate monarch rank was within Knight Sorrow's expectations, then the increase of the will of time and space was beyond his expectations. Samsara Palace showed Knight Sorrow 3 kinds of will, which was the combination of the will of nothingness, the will of time, and the will of space. In the state of epiphany, Knight Sorrow's soul was empty and receptive. Therefore, when the will of nothingness was promoted, the will of time and space also entered the monarch rank. Knight Sorrow's 7th talent bloodline energy point under the dragon bone on his back exuded a strong will of space, but it had not been fully activated yet. But at this time, the energy point exuded a strong will of space. Could it only be activated when the will of time and space is perfected? Knight Sorrow did not understand. Say the 4th update is here. Today's update is complete. Chapter 14-17. Unsealed. Knight Sorrow couldn't ask anyone about the bloodline energy points he had. He was the only one in the Knight clan who had 7 bloodline energy points. Who could he ask? However, Knight Sorrow felt that this was a good thing. If it wasn't fully activated, it meant that there was still potential. Void intent, low-level space attribute, and low-level time attribute. This was Knight Sorrow's current strength. Knight Sorrow felt good. The advancement of time attribute had increased his body's defense. The advancement of space attribute had increased his speed. The advancement of true chi attribute and void attribute was a fundamental improvement. It increased his attack power and soul power. Without time to refine the soul cultivation liquid, Knight Sorrow's body flashed out of the space-time pagoda. At this time, the world of reincarnation's original body also appeared. Amazing! This is an evaluation that I have to give. He is also the fastest cultivator that I know of, said the world of reincarnation's original body. Senior, thank you for your support. Knight Sorrow can understand your preferential treatment for me. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards the world of reincarnation's original body. You have to work hard to separate yourself. Why are you coming out? Do you want to relax? The world of reincarnation's original body asked. No. My original body wants to bring the space-time pagoda to fight with the opponent. The opponent's fortune pavilion might be a part of the Haotian godly pagoda. The space-time pagoda might be able to counter it. Knight Sorrow said, "You are the commander of the realm war. You won the most important battle. To the world of reincarnation, you have done a great service. I should help you. The world of reincarnation's original body can nurture the heavenly artifact. However, I am a little special. I have been strengthening the reincarnation palace. Therefore, I don't have the heavenly artifact for you. However, I can help you strengthen your weapon. Your weapon reincarnation has a reincarnation stone at the tip. It matches my will and original attribute." The reincarnation palace's original body said, "Thank you, Senior. Let's talk about this later. I am going to participate in the realm war now. I can't do it without a weapon." Knight Sorrow said, "Nurturing weapons took a long time. Back then, the 9 Domains world had helped him nurture them for a few years. If he wanted to fight, samsara was indispensable, so he did not have the time. Haha, I've told you that I don't have the artifact of heavenly way, but I still have some other abilities. Give me the weapon. It won't take up too much of your time. The source of Samsara Palace said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Knight Sorrow took out the Samsara sword and handed it to the Samsara origin. The origin of the world of reincarnation took reincarnation and disappeared. Knight Sorrow knew that he had more capital now. Reincarnation itself was the origin god. If the origin of the world of reincarnation strengthened his weapon, it would be even sharper. Just a moment later, the origin of Samsara Palace appeared, holding Knight Sorrow's Samsara in its hand. It's already between level 8 and level 9. There's no opportunity to enter level 9. Otherwise, it would be a level 9 Emperor-grade weapon. The origin of Samsara Palace threw Samsara in front of Knight Sorrow. Holding Samsara, Knight Sorrow felt it, and felt that the tip of Samsara seemed to have changed. You don't understand? What is Samsara stone? It's a strange stone with the energy of life and death. It's the energy that dominates life and death. It's just that it's not strong enough. I just strengthened it for you. In the future, as long as your energy is released from Samsara, it can kill the opponent's body and hurt the opponent's soul. The origin of Samsara Palace said. Knight Sorrow was stunned. This was not the same level as before. I just strengthened the blade for you. I didn't change the structure, the origin of Samsara Palace said. So fast. Knight Sorrow's hand that was holding Samsara shook, and Samsara fell into the sleeve behind him. Because there's a space in Samsara Palace where time stops. That's the limit of the will of time. Okay, you can go now. The origin of Samsara Palace nodded. Knight Sorrow put away the space-time pagoda and flashed out of Samsara Palace. Then he rushed toward the teleportation formation. After teleporting once, Knight Sorrow appeared in the Commander-in-Chief's tent in the military camp of Blue Eagle Mountain. Then he merged with his doppelganger. At this time, Datira appeared in Knight Sorrow's tent. Then the other Sky Masters also appeared. You're out. Datira looked at Knight Sorrow and asked, why did she come? Because the opportunity of a strong expert appeared. The power she carried was at the level of a Sky Master. I just came out. Knight Sorrow nodded. Very strong. Lord of Heaven Yuandao nodded at Knight Sorrow. Because the power that Knight Sorrow carried was almost the same as theirs. Fortunately, the enlightenment this time was good. My luck is quite good. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. How can you rely on luck in cultivation? Hard work, Sima Tiancheng said. You just came out. Familiarize yourself with your cultivation first. We can talk about the battle later. Lord of Heaven Yuandao said. Then the group left. Knight Sorrow familiarized himself with his cultivation in the tent. Cultivation was not equal to combat power. Cultivation was the foundation of high combat power. At this time, in the tent where the Sky Masters usually meditated and chatted, everyone was chatting. They were all in high spirits. Suppression. I can feel suppression coming from Yishang's body. It's suppression everywhere, the Crimson Emperor said. Yes. The majestic aura rippled in all directions. His strength is not as simple as being able to protect himself in front of the Sky Masters. Sima Tiancheng expressed his feelings. Brother Qing, time and space aren't Knight Sorrow's original attributes, right? Lord of Heaven Yuandao looked at Qing Emperor. Lord of Heaven Yuandao was the Lord of Time. Other than the supreme attribute, he couldn't suppress it. However, he was suppressed by Knight Sorrow's aura. Qing Emperor glanced at the Sky Masters in the tent. I'm not deliberately hiding it from everyone. I'm responsible for Knight Sorrow. Originally, I didn't plan to leak it before he had the ability to protect himself. Now that Knight Sorrow is a mid-level monarch, his ability to protect himself is more than enough. I'll tell everyone. Knight Sorrow has the supreme attribute. Usually he uses the time and space attributes to hide. Hearing Qing Emperor's words, Sima Tiancheng and the others looked at each other. Update. 9-inch when he killed the War Tiger Prince's main body. I felt that it was very strange. At that time, the purple halo burst out, and the aura was suppressed. At that time, I thought it was the effect of the virtuous body. Now, I can confirm that it wasn't the destruction attribute. Could it be the void attribute that rarely appears? Lord of Heaven Precious Fragrance looked at Qing Emperor and asked. Yes. Qing Emperor nodded. Qing Emperor, you have sharp eyes. You can discover a cultivator with the supreme attribute, and even accept him as a disciple. Red Emperor looked at Qing Emperor with envy. It's not like that. I found out later. Qing Emperor explained. Discovering first and accepting first were two different things. Speak. First update. Chapter 14:18. Unsealed. That's because you're lucky, said the Red Emperor. Lord Ruler. What was the situation when you married him? Lord of Precious Fragrance looked at Datura. I knew that he had the supreme attribute, but it was hard to make a choice. None of us would allow an opponent with the supreme attribute to grow. At that time, the Dark Abyss and the Qing Emperor's dynasty were at war. If we captured him, killing him would destroy a talent. If we didn't kill him, he might become an uncontrollable opponent. Therefore, I couldn't make a choice. At that time, Datura opened up beside the Yellow Spring River in the Dark Abyss. You all know what that meant. Therefore, I made the decision to marry him. Datura explained her situation in a low voice. She was very satisfied with her current life, and felt that she had managed her relationship well. The strongest cultivators in this era are not only from the Reincarnation Great World, but also from the Black-Yellow Great World and the Shinwu Great World, said Lord of Heavenly Tao. Night Sorrow shocked everyone. Not only did he have a suppressive aura, but he also had a rolling momentum of heaven and earth. The suppressive aura came from the suppression of attributes. The rolling momentum of heaven and earth came from the light of merit of the merit saint. Night Sorrow stayed in the tent and sensed his own situation. This was a necessary step after advancing. After nearly 7 days, Night Sorrow walked out of the tent. At this time, his aura was very calm. He was still a refined young man. His aura and momentum were completely restrained and hidden in his body. This was the effect of not revealing his true body. Night Sorrow entered the tent of the Qing Emperor and the others. Everyone stood up and cupped their hands. This was a sign of respect. In the past, everyone was polite to Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow was the commander and needed Night Sorrow to command the battle. Therefore, they were polite to him. At the same time, it was also a sign of support for the younger generation. But now it was different. Everyone respected him. And it was the respect of those who cultivated at the same level. A few days ago, when Night Sorrow's main body had arrived, the aura he carried had made everyone feel pressured. There's no need to be so courteous. Everyone please take a seat. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. I'm very happy to see you like this. It's not strange for a Sky Master Magnate to have the battle strength of a Magnate, but for a Monarch to have such battle strength, it's a treasure. Sima Tiancheng said. You flatter me. Now let's discuss whether we should take the Divine Martial City or Fortune City first. Night Sorrow asked after sitting down. Which city do you prefer to take first? Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Right now the Divine Martial City is still a little chaotic. Disciple feels that we should take down Fortune City first. Once we take down Fortune City, the chaotic forces in the Shinwu Great World will retreat. Night Sorrow voiced his thoughts. Okay, it's up to you. Qing Emperor nodded. The World War is coming to an end, Li Tianba muttered. Next, there are a few unstable factors that I will talk about here. First, the Divine Tiger Dynasty might ally with the Fortune Gate. In other words, during the battle, the other side's 3 heavenly monarchs might appear. We must be mentally prepared for this. Yishan said. After we attack, can't we just destroy their transmission array first? Li Tianhu said. Are they stupid? Every time we attacked, we destroyed their transmission array first. Their alliance must be prepared for this. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Sky Tiger Valley Master, don't talk anymore. Your thinking will affect Night Sorrow. We will all be tricked. Misty Rain said. Li Tianhu nodded awkwardly. He also felt that he was taking things for granted. After becoming a Sky Master, many of his habits had changed. Some problems were solved by force. He had no idea when it came to battles of wits or strategies. Arrange the battle strategy in advance. Divine Tiger Lord Aluo, you have battle experience. Block him. Second Emperor, who's going? Knight Sorrow asked. Second Emperor, I'll do it. Sima Tiancheng said. Then Third Emperor, I'll do it. Li Tianba said. Tianba and Tianhu, the two Valley Masters, will deal with the Third Emperor. He doesn't have any battle avatars, so it shouldn't be difficult to kill him. Sima Manor Master and Precious Fragrance Heavenly Monarch, go kill the Second Emperor. Master's wife, support Luo. When the Lightning Fire Heavenly Monarch comes, Master will block him. As for that by Taesong, I'll test his strength. Senior brother, Heavenly Monarch Yuan Dao will support the formation. Knight Sorrow arranged. What about me? Why is it my business? Red Emperor was a little unwilling. Yes, if anyone wants to run, Lord Red Emperor will be in charge of intercepting them. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Good, that's more like it. Red Emperor nodded with a smile. If you can kill them quickly, kill them quickly. This can quickly change the situation of the battle. Knight Sorrow said. We don't know what trump cards Bai Taesong has, so we have to be careful. Here are the glazed golden pills, which can prevent all negative effects. Everyone take one. Knight Sorrow took out a bottle of glazed golden pills and placed it on the table in the middle of the tent. This pill is a treasure. I've heard of it. Red Emperor took out a glazed golden pill and said. Of course it's a treasure. Knight Sorrow spent a lot of effort on the ingredients for this pill. Datira said. We know. When the battle is over, we'll send the gift. Money Grubber. Precious Fragrance Heavenly Monarch glanced at Datira. Alright, everyone get ready. Tomorrow we'll fight. Knight Sorrow made the decision. Knight Sorrow also returned to his tent. He took out the reincarnation sword and gently wiped it. He knew that the battle in the Shenwu Great World was coming to an end. After the Fortune Gate was dealt with, only the Zhanwu dynasty would be left. Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid of the Zhanwu dynasty, because their strength was on the surface. As long as they dealt with the Fortune Gate, they could go to the Martial War City to break the formation. It wasn't difficult. After resting for a while, Knight Sorrow organized the troops. This time he didn't plan to bring everyone. He only called for the furious Qilin army and all the sovereigns in the army. This time, it would be an elite battle. Knight Sorrow first brought Xian Daozi to the outskirts of the divine martial city. Uncle Xian Daozi, this is the 9 Netherworld Slaughtering God Formation's entrance. If there are any changes, immediately activate the formation. Knight Sorrow said to Xian Daozi when they arrived at the 9 Netherworld Slaughtering God Formation's entrance. Forever free of charge. SV check square root. Rest assured, Your Highness, this subordinate will definitely complete the mission. Xian Daozi bowed to Knight Sorrow. In the past, Knight Sorrow was a junior. Now he was an expert that he had to respect. Good, then let's go to war. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Knight Sorrow led a group of big shots, sovereigns, and the furious Qilin army to start the teleportation. Only one army's teleportation speed was extremely fast. They finished the teleportation in a short while. Let's go. The time to decide victory has arrived. Knight Sorrow led his people and flew towards the Fortune City after exiting the formation. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you old bro and Dr. L for unblocking yesterday's chapter. In order to have an environmentally friendly chat platform, we have to eliminate some hidden accounts. At the same time, we have to pave the way for the fan club. Now the core group is accepting people. The requirement to join the group is to have enough fan points, which is to spend 188 renminbi on the book. If you meet the requirement, you can send a private message to Anun or Shizi. After sending a picture as proof, you will be added to the group. Every once in a while, the core group will send gifts to fans who have reached a certain number of fan points. The higher the fan points, the more gifts you will receive. Of course, the gifts are all meaningful. Chapter 1419. While flying, Night Sorrow waved his arm and threw out a Holy Spirit stone, activating the 9 Nether Slaughtering God formation. He then led the group towards the Fortune City's Castellan Manor. Bai Taesong, who was meditating in a pavilion in the Wild Garden, suddenly felt the energy in the city change, becoming more oppressive. His body shook, and a golden armor covered his body. Bai Taesong held a long sword in his right hand and dashed out of the pavilion. After exiting the pavilion, Bai Taesong waved his arm, and the shining pavilion shrunk, then floated above his head and flew towards the Castellan Manor. While flying, Bai Taesong used the concentric crystal to communicate with Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, asking for help. He wasn't afraid of the reincarnation world's allied forces. His original plan was to use the Chaos Heaven Grand Formation to trap the reincarnation world's forces, and then use the Zhongwu Dynasty and Fortune Gate's forces to slowly chip away at them to win the world war. Now that there seemed to be a problem with the formation, Bai Taesong could only protect himself. He felt that as long as he didn't lose, the Fortune City would be safe. If he didn't lose, who would dare to stay in the Fortune Gate's territory and be killed by him one by one? When Bai Taesong arrived at the Castellan Manor, Night Sorrow and his group had also arrived. You dare to attack? You're courting death. Bai Taesong's body shook, and the golden armor shone brightly. Origin Armor. The 9 regions' origins in Night Sorrow's spirit sea informed Night Sorrow, because it could feel the origin energy above it. Night Sorrow, the treasure floating above his head is the missing part of me. I want to take it back. I must take it back. Xiao Kong was excited. Does it have an artifact spirit? Night Sorrow communicated with Xiao Kong through their souls. No, it doesn't have an artifact spirit, and it hasn't recognized an owner. It's just a formation activated by the other party's soul force. I will control it later, and as long as you can take it back, I will merge with it, and then it will be complete. Xiao Kong was very excited. What I need you to do later is to restrain that thing for me. I will kill, and you will steal. Night Sorrow communicated with Xiao Kong. If you want to turn the tide, you must be qualified. Night Sorrow coldly snorted after communicating with Xiao Kong. I have the qualifications. Come and fight. Bai Taiching waved the long sword in his hand and looked coldly at Yi Shang and the others. You're too arrogant. Li Tianba was enraged. He waved his sword and charged towards Bai Taiching. At this moment, the people from the Shenhu dynasty had not arrived yet. He had no opponent. Then I'll kill you first. Bai Taesong didn't dodge. He rushed forward and waved his left hand. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion above his head expanded, and the will of heaven and earth appeared to suppress him. Shameless boasting. Li Tianba was very angry. He directly slashed his sword at Bai Taesong's head. At this time, Bai Taesong did something that surprised everyone. He didn't dodge but twisted his body slightly to avoid his head, and used his shoulder to block Li Tianba's sword. As Li Tianba's sword and Bai Taesong's armor clashed, an intense golden light exploded. At this time, Bai Taesong's long sword flew up diagonally, and a sword light slashed at Li Tianba's body. Everyone's expression changed. The Origin Dao Heavenly Monarch who was closest to Li Tianhu spun his left hand, and an energy vortex appeared. Origin Dao Heavenly Monarch was fast, but Bai Taesong's sword chi was faster. It directly cut off Li Tianba's right shoulder and right arm. Strong. Bai Taesong's performance was very strong. He took Li Tianba's attack head-on, and came out unscathed. This didn't make sense. The fact was right in front of everyone's eyes. There was no room for doubt. This was Bai Taesong's trump card. Night Sorrow took a step forward, blocking Bai Taesong's path. Night Sorrow, be careful. Misty Rain, who had destroyed the transmission array together with the precious fragrance Heavenly Monarch, said, Junior brother, let senior brother have a go first. Sandalwood raised his sword and stood in front of Night Sorrow. Today this seat will be here. Let's see who can do it. Attacking my fortune gate, you guys are very bold. From today onwards, this seat will take revenge until you can't take it anymore. Ha! If you want the world war to go smoothly, just wait for your loss. Bai Taesong waved his long sword and slashed towards Sandalwood. J only V is genuine %, F others are all Z. Pirated Sandalwood took a step forward, and the murderous aura on his body exploded. He then slashed his sword towards Bai Taesong. Bai Taesong waved his long sword and began to fight. He didn't defend, but attacked with all his might. He also controlled the Fortune Immortal Pavilion to suppress Sandalwood. Passive. Sandalwood was very passive. Bai Taesong could choose not to defend, but he couldn't. There was a fundamental difference between fighting someone who didn't defend. No. His defense is too strong. It can't be broken. Qing Emperor's face was solemn. The situation was beyond everyone's expectations. Master, that's an Origin Divine artifact. It's a defensive treasure born from the Shenwu Great World's origin energy. Knight Sorrow said, but his eyes didn't leave the battlefield. Sandalwood and Bai Taesong exchanged blows in the air. However, Sandalwood was on the defensive. His sword lights were ineffective against Bai Taesong. Heavenly blood-setting sun slash. Sandalwood roared and used his ultimate move. Bai Taesong dashed forward, ignoring Sandalwood's ultimate move. At the same time, he slashed a sword light towards Sandalwood at an extremely fast speed. Sandalwood retreat. Qing Emperor shouted. However, Qing Emperor was a little too late. Sandalwood's ultimate move didn't affect Bai Taesong's soul. It only slowed down Bai Taesong. The sword light still penetrated Sandalwood's right chest and came out from his back. On the other hand, Bai Taesong was only pushed back a little by Sandalwood's sword light. Knight Sorrow rushed to the battlefield in a flash. He grabbed Sandalwood with his left hand and retreated to a safe place. Senior brother, how are you? Knight Sorrow asked. He's fine. He hasn't bled for many years. I made an exception today. His tortoise shell is very hard. Sandalwood shook his body and took off his battle armor. He wiped the blood on his chest with his left hand and said, whoever wants to come at me together. You guys changed the array formation of Fortune City. I don't want Fortune City anymore. I'll kill to stop killing. I'll kill until you guys submit. Bai Taesong laughed heartily. After injuring the two leaders of the reincarnation world, he was extremely excited. He was sure that his strategy was right. As long as he didn't lose, as long as he continued to kill, he could turn the tide and change the outcome of the world war. At this moment, 3 people flew out of the Castellan Manor. It was Lord Shenhu and the other 2. It seems like today's battle can solve the problem of the world war. Bai Taesong, come at me. I want to see how strong you are. Knight Sorrow took a few steps forward with some Sara in his hand. Haha. Is there no one else in the reincarnation world? Even in Sovereign can fight. How can you guys fight a world war like this? Bai Taesong waved his sword and laughed as he looked at the group of people from the reincarnation world. I, Knight Sorrow, am only in Sovereign. However, I'm willing to be the pawn of the reincarnation world. Knight Sorrow said. Speak. Third Watch. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.